How do you pass up the opportunity to spit blood in Joan Baez's face? I've read Mark Twain. I've read Huckleberry Finn. I think I earned the right to go on the internet and see a guy get a chainsaw in the face. Dude, my dad was drunk and my mom was dealing with it. Guess what? I got raised by Cookie Monster. My cock looks like it's been in a hockey fight. Time my stupidity. It's at the speed of goddamn light. I got a buffalo clocks.
Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Let me ask you a question, folks. Now, before I ask that question, let me preface this by saying you don't need to answer that question, certainly not out loud. You might look like a maniac if you're on public transportation, although we've covered that in the past, where I've had you take off your shirts and yell how much you love me and you're in my army. And if you're alone in a car, feel free to answer. Or if you're alone at home, if you're listening to this at a desk, just say this. Just like you're somebody who broke their ankle and their significant other, Sal, is somewhere else doing something and you're alone. You got nothing else to do. Feel free to answer this question out. Or go ahead and text that Sal. Or go ahead and text somebody else, anybody else, to answer this question. My point is I have a question to ask you folks, and it pertains to me, it pertains to you, it pertains to all of us. Well, maybe not all of us. I want to go ahead and exclude maybe half of the population. That seems weird right off the bat, right? Why would you do something like that? Why would you cut half the population immediately out of an inquiry? If I'm taking a poll of some sort and I'm trying to find an answer, why would I immediately take half of the population out of the equation? I would think that I would need to get a true read by talking to everybody. And yet, once I ask the question, you'll understand exactly why I'm taking out half the population. And by half the population, I mean a certain amount of the population. It doesn't have to be half, but only certain members of the population. You know, I'm cutting out the Amish. I don't want to hear from the Amish. You Amish, take me out of your ears right now. Stuff me into your beards and don't listen to this goddamn question. Go raise a barn without me. I think the Amish listen to me. I think all of them have got me tuned in while they put up barns. And you just see them all. If you're ever driving and you see a bunch of Amish just start laughing at the same time as they raise a barn, you know that they've got earbuds in and they're listening to me yaml? I was going to say ramble and yammer. I could yaml. Maybe I yaml those people. Maybe I yarmulke those people. All right, if you got a yarmulke on too, by the way, you can just start laughing silently to yourself. It's been the Night of the Living Jews here, actually, by my house because of, Shana Tova? Rosh Hashanah? Hanna-Barbera? I don't know what you guys got going on. But they're all out at night. Because I see the Jews at night. Gum, 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 psh. That's the Wolves at Night. It's a song by, I think, Manchester Orchestra. But you'll see a lot of Jewish people outside by my house, and they're wearing their yarmulkes, and they walk around at night, and they've got their suits on, their Jewish suits, and their little Jewish hats. Not little Jewish hats. I know what a yarmulke is. That's a skull cap, a beanie. I wonder if the beanie just stays on. Because, I got a big-ass skull. I don't think I could handle a yarmulke. I think it'd just go flying off with the first good wind. But do they have to use a bobby pin? That seems like kind of emasculating. I ask you, Jewish people, if you have to wear a yarmulke, do you need to keep it pinned to your head with a bobby pin ensemble? Not just one. You can't just stab it through your skull like a steak knife through a goddamn double-decker club sandwich. Maybe you do that. Oh, that's what I want to do. Wear a couple of yarmulkes. Go double-decker yarmulke and just plunge a fucking steak knife through it so it pins itself to your skull. Then you haven't got to worry about any wind, for fuck's sake. But I guess my question is, if you're wearing a yarmulke, it has to be zoomed in there. Zoom is a bad word. Maybe just pinned, right? Bobby pinned. You got to get a whole circumference of bobby pins around it to keep it. Because look, we've got killer winds. We've got the Santa Anas blowing here in California. Not yet. We will in a couple of months. But maybe that's why Shana Tova happens when it does. They have Shana Tova in September, and then the Santa Ana winds come over here in December and January. And I don't know if you know this, by the way. Absolutely, you're way ahead of me on this, folks. You do know that the Jewish name for Santa Ana is Shana Tova. So you saw that coming a million miles away. That lit into my brain, and I was like, I can't wait to say this, and yet I still have to do this thing about the winds in December. Got to talk about that. I got to talk about The Winds in December, which is another one of my favorite novels with a bodice ripper. I got to talk about the Thornbirds. The Winds of December and the Thornbirds. Folks, don't kid yourself. These are lovely. These are absolutely lovely shows. Books. Winds of December was not made into a show. It was just a book. All right. I had a question. And I'm pining for an answer, folks. I'm going to need some of you to answer, maybe not all of you. And it's not a question about yarmulkes. I guess I had a question about yarmulkes as well with the bobby pins and the holding down of the wind. So feel free to answer that. If you'd like, Jewish people, go ahead and send me a note to tell me if your yarmulke blows off in your wind. Well, does your yarmulke use its flavor when it blows in the wind at night? That's bubblegum. Stupid. So there's yarmulkes, and we were just talking about another. Oh, the Amish chuckling to themselves, and the Jewish people who are wandering my neighborhood in the middle of the night, and big families. Dude, this is the thing. You guys go to your Shana Tova, you do your thing there. I know you go there, you say a prayer, you don't eat bacon, you get up, maybe you have a fruit cup, maybe you have a noodle kugel, you say hello to Yahweh. What year is it? 5811? I don't know. You get some year for you guys, and then you walk out into the evening, and it's just it is my neighborhood is awash in the Jewish. They are all over the place. They are going to and fro. They are running back and forth. I don't know if they're running, really. That seems weird. I don't want to have World War J in my neighborhood. But they are, and they come out of the cover of darkness. And when I say the little hat, I didn't mean a yarmulke. That was what I was explaining. They'll wear that bitchin' hat, that cool-ass, like, fucking Western hat. That's a cool-ass Jewish guy hat. That's a good look, man. The yarmulke, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie to you. Fashion-wise, it's a little rough. I know you have to do it because it's in your book or whatever the fuck, in your pamphlet, whatever you guys sport, the one you read backwards, whatever you read backwards. Maybe that's the problem. See, you're reading that fucking thing backwards, and you're like, well, we got to put on this tiny little hat. If you read the thing forward, it'd say, find a much cooler hat. I think that's what it would say. But that's what happens if you read the book forward. You get that big Western hat. You ever see that cool ass hat that Jewish dudes wear? It's like a cowboy hat, but it's not. Not that there's not Jewish cowboys. Not that there's not a Bucky Goldstein out there. Whose joke is that? Seinfeld's? I think it is. There's no Jewish cowboys. Bucky Goldstein. It might be David Brenner. Oh my God, I just quoted a David Brenner joke. That's nightmarish. That's no good. You know what, folks? Mark it down right now. Week 7, year 11, everything went to hell because I actually fucking quoted David Brenner. Who I made a tweet about David Brenner one time. By the way, this show is just going to become me discussing my tweets going forward because nobody pays attention on Twitter, so I bring it to you. I'm like, listen to this brilliance everybody ignored, because that did just happen to me again the other day with a tweet. Should I tell you that now, or should I talk about David Brenner? I don't know, folks. It's a coin flip. Nobody knows what to do at this point. And also, I'm a little out of sorts. I've had a bad weekend. I had a rough weekend. I had a weekend that I don't want to recount, and yet I'm probably going to have to because I didn't do anything else but this stuff that happened over the weekend. So I'm going to recount it as I talk to you about Jewish cowboys and their ilk and David Brenner and his jokes. The tweet I had about a David Brenner was, I said, look, no matter what you think about stand-up comedy, the testament to its strength as an art form is that it survived David Brenner. And then a lot of people were very upset with me. And by a lot of people, I mean like one, because again, nobody pays attention to my tweets or my Twitter. But there was one David Brenner defender swooped into my mentions and he's just like, why I oughta? And I said, of course you oughta, but you won't because fuck that. You're a pussy like David Brenner. I call out a dead guy. I shouldn't do that because, again, it's Shana Tova. That's the time the Jewish ghosts rise from the grave and haunt those who've insulted them. And all of a sudden, David Brenner might come in here and be like, oh. I don't know if that's what he sounds like. I can tell you this. Whatever I just did made the hugest blue blob in Audacity I think I've ever made. I think that noise was the most oppressive noise I've ever made in the history of Audacity and Libsyn and podcasts. But I don't want the ghost of David Brenner haunting this show. But now I've invoked him like 5 different times. I've said his name 3 times. I've had to. He's got to arrive like Candyman, right? He's going to be here at some point. That's when it's lovely, is when the ghost of David Brenner comes in to wreak havoc. But again, he could just be out haunting the streets with the rest of the other Jewish people. Not that they're haunting. They're just heading home from fucking Rosh Hashanah, Tana Shova, Shana Tova, whoever the fuck. Whatever they're doing. Because I don't understand any of your religious stuff. I'm talking Jews and Seder, and we're saving a plate for Elijah and whoever the fuck that guy is. I'm talking about Christmas and mistletoe, and you're saving a kiss for Elijah. Whatever you guys are doing with yourselves, trees and Santa and Jesus and his birthday and a cross, and I mean none of it makes any sense to me. And 72 virgins and apples and grapes and whatever the fuck else they got up there in Muslim heaven. All you guys with your myths and your stories and your boogeymen. That doesn't sound good at all. How mean is that? I've just torn 3 of the world's largest religions asunder. And right now all the Buddha people are like, haha, that's right, we got off light. We totally skied into the radar, which makes no sense because Buddha's the fattest dude in the world. I would have seen him from a plane. You'd think I'd insult him from space because that's the only fucking deity you can see from the fucking moon is Buddha because he's fucking gigantic. And coincidentally, Buddha also made of green cheese. I had a question for you folks. I know I had a question. There was something I was going to ask. Oh, here's what I was going to say to all of you, and maybe not all of you, as I've mentioned. Some of you can answer it, and some of you can't. Some will do with this, and some will go with that, and some will go. I need to stop doing Fatboy Slim. All right. Are you like me, folks? Are you like me in that you wish you were a man? That's my question for you. Do you wish somehow that you had some sort of masculine properties? Now, and look, I will tell you this. I have plenty of masculine properties. You know, I've got calluses on my hands. I got a cock. I mean, I got all that stuff. I got a supreme disposition to being told what to do. I mean, I am a man through and through on certain levels. I go lift weights. And here's the thing, Rebirth, let's talk about that. 3 days a week, I've been going and killing it. I've been combining my cardio into my weightlifting excursions. So I go there, I run a mile, and then I go on a circuit training with fucking John, and I am soaked. And I know I talked about this last week, and I said, I will put up photos. Yeah, well, I got my dick knocked in the dirt. I got my dick knocked in the dirt over the weekend, and I'll explain. But I did not put up the photos, but I have them. They're all in my phone. I'll tell you what, I take selfies every day now at the gym thinking I'll go ahead and post this because I need the attaboys from you guys. And then they just sit in my phone. And then I look at them and I'm like, these are dumb. Nobody wants to see these. And of course, nobody wants to see them. But the whole point is you guys are there for me. And so if I post them, you'll say good things. That's what the whole point of the Attaboy Schmidt Brigade is about. Did I tell you my Fitbit ate it? Did I mention that last week? My fucking Fitbit died. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been able to enter all the races and shit like that. I don't know why or how. I was charging my Fitbit, and then I took it, I put it in my little wristband, and then I checked it later that day, and it said it was only half full, but it didn't say it on the Fitbit. The Fitbit had nothing on the screen. It was totally burnt. But on the phone, the app said it was only half full, so I'm like, how the fuck could that be? I charged it overnight. So I threw it back on to charge it some more, and I think somehow I gave it too much juice. I think I geeked my gassed. I don't know what the fuck you want to say, but I did something to my Fitbit that was bad. My Fatbit. That's what I have, folks. Now I have a Fatbit. That's the problem. My gigantic fat wrist swallowed up my Fitbit, and I can't find it now. It's not part of my skin. Long live the new flesh. It's very Videodrome. It's not tucked into my hand, and I got to push buttons on it to try to find out how many fucking steps I took. But it's gone now. It's not gone. It's on my desk, but it doesn't work. So I charged it overnight, and then nothing. No screen, no numbers. And I can't reboot the fucking thing. I pressed every single button combination. and you don't believe me? Here, I'll tell you this. I pressed the first button, and then I pressed the second button, and then I pressed the third button, and then I pressed the first and second button together, and then I pressed the second and third button, and then I pressed the first and third. What if I did this all fucking day? I only had 3 combinations left. I should have just continued. The point is the Fitbit doesn't work anymore. So now I have to just in my brain know what I'm doing and prove to you guys that I'm doing the thing. Only selfies. Selfies are the only way to track my fitness, folks. But that's the thing is I go to the gym and again, I have calloused hands. I have 3 calluses on each hand. And I got, fucking crazy ripped forearms underneath all the fat skin. But I'm a guy I lift. I go there. I do the circuit training. Like I said, today, like here's what I did today in the gym. Or no, yesterday, Monday. I went ahead and did here's what I did, folks. Since you need to know. Why am I telling you this? We did chest. You do like 120 pounds of chest and you do 15 of those. And it's like, but it's the worst part. It's like slow down and explode up, slow down and explode up. You finish that. And then you go over and you do shoulder press. Or no, I did deadlifts. Just like an 80-pound dumbbell deadlifting, 15 of those. Go over and then do the shoulder press and do 15 of those at like 130 pounds. And then you got to go over and do fucking quads. And then you do rows. And then you do reverse crunches. Yeah, it's no fun. I mean, by the time you could bring my fucking shirt up by the time I'm doing 2 circuits, and then we do 3 more. You do 5 circuits. Actually, we just do it till the hour's up. So it's usually around 4 circuits. But if I'm really hustling and not talking, I was doing some talking yesterday because I had a lot to talk about, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. But man, I love it. I love walking out of there just fucking soaked and like crazy and sore. Do I still got to get my head right diet-wise? Of course. I got to get my head right in a bunch of different ways. But the good news is, like I said, lifting and adding in some cardio. Not as much cardio as I should be doing, but still some cardio. So there you go. But that's the point. I'm a man. I'm a man who gets on the treadmill and does a mile in 15 minutes or 17 minutes. I'm a man, or 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I'm a man who goes there and does rows, chest rows with chest up and fucking pull downs and benching. And I get the calluses on my hand and I'm sore and I come home and I take a shower and sometimes I can't lift my arms. So it's easy to wash my balls, but not so easy to wash my shoulders. So I have to lean into the wall to support my arm and then move my whole body to wash my chest and shoulders, which is, if anybody's watching, they're enjoying it. There's that window across the way. I know periodically people have peeked at me from there before. I don't know if they're doing it these days. I'll catch a glance up there periodically and see that the blinds are open, but nobody's there. Or at least maybe they're there and they're just peeking over the sink. Or maybe just a family of midgets took that apartment. I don't know. I look up there, I don't see anybody. Midget is bad. Fuck. A family of dwarves? Little people? I don't know. a family of Lego people. Because Lego people, I mean, they're not midgets, but they're totally small. But Lego are like little midgets because they got the big round head and that little tiny body. I guess that's a dwarf. Or an elf. Perhaps it's an elf. You know, maybe Gimli. Gimli took the apartment upstairs. That's what he did. He's got the apartment. He's just staring down at me. He's like, oh, I can't believe he's got to wash himself like that. That's my Gimli. I haven't seen the movie in a while. So that's a Gimli from memory. You know, nobody, do me a favor. Don't try a Gimli from memory. But are you like me? Do you wish you were more manly in certain ways? Do you think? Because, look, I'm getting my apartment in order. I'm doing all sorts of cool-ass things. I'm trying to do the thing. I'm making progress, certainly, in the rebirth in all sorts of places, except for, diet. But as far as lifting, yes. And getting the apartment done, yes. I'm looking forward to our friend Kyle coming over tomorrow and putting zip ties on all of my cords. We're going to hook up my television and get that squared away. We're going to hook up. I've done some digging. I've found, because again, I'm planning on streaming. I told you on Twitch and playing games. Well, I bought an NES. You guys know that. I bought a Nintendo system. However, I also have a Sega Genesis that I found in a cabinet. I found a PlayStation that I found in a cabinet. And I still have my Xbox that I have on a shelf. I don't know if I can use all of those games or all those boxes to play. I don't know if any of them still work. I haven't played games in fucking years. But we'll just blow the dust out of them, out of their guts, and see if they'll go ahead and let me play a game on TV, on Twitch for people to watch. I found a bunch of sports games. I found Genghis Khan for the Sega. I don't think anybody's going to want to watch Genghis just fucking plant wheat. Hey, we're going to plant wheat for the next hour and just build up our troops. That was the best part. Like, because we'd just be sitting my brothers and I would be just sitting all night and just building up our fucking countries, waiting to not get invaded. And we'd be listening to Pearl Jam's album on fucking repeat and just train your troops. All right, I'm going to train my troops. And then you train your leader so he gets all smart. And then the troops can train even more. They get bonus points. God damn, I love Genghis. You have no idea how much I love Genghis. I've told you. You have every idea how much I love Genghis. But are you like me? Do you wish you were manly in other ways? Like you could just sit around and play on your Xbox and things like that? So my apartment is just about, like I said, it's not just about done. It's in progress. I'll tell you what, here's what I found. I dug into a box and I've been going through stuff and I shared it. I did a live stream yesterday night, which was Monday night, and I shared some stuff with some people. Come to the live streams if you haven't. They're fun, man. They're totally cool. But I did one yesterday, and I went. Everybody's like, "Hey, man, show us some like old stuff, like you dug out of your boxes." So I brought in some old notebooks of mine, and what was the other thing I showed? There was one of I have like the old Never Not Funny CD still in the cellophane. I found comedy notebooks, whatever the fuck. It was for me. It was that thing where I'm like, man, nobody wants to see this stuff. And then everybody's like, oh my God, this stuff is so cool. So that's very nice. People are very generous. But then today I went through a box and guess what I found, folks? I've gotten, I told you, all the papers from 9/11, and then I found Time Magazine and the fucking Daily Variety from 9/11. I don't know why Daily Variety is there. What kind of fucking headline they could have? Saudi splits nation, whatever the fuck. I couldn't think of all the alliteration. I should have, damn it. See, I should have planned that. That's why the show should be planned. But I found at the bottom of this box a stack, not just a couple. I didn't find 5. I think I found like fucking 15 to 20 old Playboys. And I know you're thinking, well, fuck, that's horrible. Well, no, because here's the thing. They were saved for a purpose. Like I had them and I had the foresight, I had the aforethought in my brain to go, you know what? Somebody's going to want these one day because it's Jenny McCarthy, like when she won Playmate of the Year. It's the 2 Farrah Fawcett episodes, the one where she did all the naked art and then the other one she did for Christmas. It's a bunch of Pam Anderson ones, the original ones. It's Sable from WWE Wrestling and Tori Wilson. It's a bunch of those. I mean, I have the Women of Comedy, which has like Rhonda Shear from Up All Night and Felicia Michaels, who's a podcaster now. Yeah, maybe you like Felicia Michaels and you like her podcast. Well, she was naked in Playboy. I got that. You want to see her vagina? You want to see her fucking pussy? Go ahead and contact me. Anyway, the point is, I fish out all these Playboys, and I'm like, you know what? Holy shit, this is a gold mine, man. I'm going to go ahead and put these on eBay because I know old men collect Playboys. That's a thing. It's when I the whole time growing up, people collected Playboys. They kept them in like cellophane and shit like that. So I'm like, I am going to totally fucking clean up. So I go to eBay, and let me tell you, folks, that is a terrible way to find out that nobody collects Playboys anymore. Like nobody is interested. I even looked up the specific issues. There's some of them that I have that are listed on there. Some of them are like, buy it now for $5, 0 bids. The ones that are forbidding, 21 cents. I mean, like, nobody is bidding on these Playboys. Nobody's buying them outright. And I mean, mine are in good condition because I even texted Gio and I'm like, dude, I don't understand why nobody wants these Playboys. And he's like, dude, he's like, here, somebody buy this book I spooged in. I'm like, dude, it's an amateur move. Amateur move to shoot in the magazine. Everybody knows you got to have better aim than that. I said, even my onanism won't cut into my profit margins. I just can't. You know, I knew all along that these were going to be a thing, but then I go to fucking eBay and nobody wants these. So now in my brain, I'm like, well, fuck, I got to throw these away now. This is going to suck. And I can't, it's like the videotapes and the Playboy magazine. This is all shit that I thought people were going to want going forward, and nobody wants any of it. I mean, like I said, the Playboy or the videotapes, nobody wants those. But I think I want those, but I thought it'd be easier to fucking convert them, and it's not. But the Playboys, Jesus, what a goddamn mess that is. Nobody wants those at all. But that's what a man does. A man goes and lifts weights. A man collects Playboys. A man rolls through and sees Sable and runs off a batch. That's how he handles his business. If you want to be like me and be a man, go ahead and buy my Sable fucking Playboy, where they actually digitally added pubic hair to her. And I'm not even joking. I think I've talked about that on the show before. Sable was in the WWF at the time, and she was totally naked, but they put this like fucking weird ass digital merkin on her because that was at a time when ladies were starting to get waxed or shaved. And so she clearly had shaved because, I mean, you know, she had her normal hair, and then they obviously color matched it. It looks like she's got a rug sample like on her pussy. I mean, it's just so fucking bad. And it made me laugh. I'm just, even then, because like I said, that was at the time when it was starting to evolve, when that was going to be the fashion now, where everybody was getting waxed and things like that, which I think is, from what I understand, it is backtracked now. The waxing is gone, or it's not that. It's like, but I don't know, maybe grooming is back in. I don't know. Don't ask me any pussy questions. It's been a while. But I know my preferences. I think you do too. But whatever anybody decides to do, you know what I prefer? Any of it. I don't care. I'm on board. You've got one? I'm in. There you go. That's my preference. But yeah, so I mean, I've got these fucking Playboys, and now I'm like, I got to toss them out because nobody wants these goddamn things. Even though I was like, oh well, you know, I'll totally make a ton of no money, nothing at all. I mean, it's just. And that's what a man does. Like I said, a man's got Playboys. A man gets calluses. Here's what a man doesn't do. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This is the thing I wanted to share with you guys. This is why I was asking you a question. And I'm sure you're all going to go, oh, Mike. And I wouldn't blame you, quite frankly. I'm in my bedroom. As I said, I'm getting things squared away. I'm getting things prepared. I like to sleep with some white noise, as all of you know. Now, it's been very warm here in Los Angeles as well. It's gotten back over 90 degrees for the past few days. So it works double duty, my white noise. I have a fan. And I have a tower fan, and it spins. So I used to put it at the foot of my bed, and it wasn't getting the job done. I was starting to wake up, and it was still really kind of warm in the morning, maybe a little stuffy. So I was like, man, this tower fan is not getting it done. Is there something wrong with it? Do I got to clean it? Like, what should I do? And then instead, I hit upon a brilliant idea. Here's what I did, folks. Instead of putting the tower fan at the foot of the bed where it blew directly into the headboard and then spun around back and forth and missed me most of the time, I put it alongside the bed. So it would start blowing directly in my face, and then by the time it was done spinning, it would just get down to my ankles. I mean, I got a 6-foot radius, so I still got 2 inches to fucking spare at that point. So, I keep one leg outside of the covers. I got one leg out, one leg in. I'm fucking lying sideways on my right side, facing the fan, and the fan is blowing in my face. And not only it's got the white noise, but it's also keeping me cool. Dude, it was a brilliant idea. I was so excited for it. So I've been doing that for the past week. I'm like, this is great. Even though it's hot out, I'm not even fucking feeling it, and I'm getting the white noise benefit. So I was proud of myself in this development. So then yesterday, I was getting ready for bed. And I was getting stuff squared away. You know, I pulled the covers back. I brushed my teeth. I threw in some mouthwash. I'm getting that squared away. I'm walking back and forth, turning lights off, doing the things you need to do. And then I go into the room and I turn the fan on. And the only thing is, I will tell you this. I have to readjust the fan every night to put it so it blows properly. Because during the day, I also turn the fan to where it's either blowing in the whole apartment or it's just blowing on me if I'm working at the desk. As you know, I have a desk now in the bedroom because I'm very efficient. That just sounds so stupid. I've got a desk in my bedroom. I like to type near my pillows. So I adjust the fan to where it's blowing on me while I'm working, and then at night I have to turn it around, I have to turn it on. Yes, I know, you're going to laugh. I have to turn it on, and then I have to watch its trajectory. I have to make sure it blows all the way to the front and then all the way to the back, and then I have to move it to the right sometimes and pull it back a little bit so I get full air exposure. And it's hard work being a man, folks. It's hard work building a white noise machine. So last night I'm doing that, and I'm like I said, I brushed my teeth. And then I walk in, I turn the fan on, I set it up, and then I go out and I throw the fucking mouthwash in. I can throw a little Biotene in, get a little swish. And I know you're thinking to yourself, Mike, you're a weird dude. How do you handle your swish? Is it just a couple of swishes? No, of course it isn't. It's 8 swishes top left teeth, 8 swishes top right teeth, 8 swishes bottom right teeth, 8 swishes bottom left teeth, 8 swishes top front teeth, 8 swishes bottom front teeth. And then just go wild. Then Lord of the Flies. Then wild card. Just spin it all over your mouth. But I always go 8. 1, 2. I was going to make the noise. I don't think I can do it. I don't have any stuff in my mouth. Should I fill my mouth with water and let you know what it sounds like? Of course I shouldn't. How horrible is that? But yes, the point is I have a routine as far as mouthwash and nonsense. So I'm swishing and I'm walking around and I'm making sure everything's fine. I grab my wallet, I put it in the room. I like I said, I set the pillows up just so, because maybe I didn't make my bed yesterday. Maybe that's just the kind of guy I am. Or I should say maybe I made it in time for this live stream and then I pulled it back and the pillows were in the wrong spots and I had to move them around because, I wanted to make sure that people, because I live streamed from my bedroom on Monday, which was a weird thing because normally I've been doing it from the living room, but now I did it from the bedroom because I was like, you know what? I like this. This is a good move. And then of course it was too dark and people had me go, well, turn the light on and do this. And I did. So I think the streaming, once Kyle gets in and we get the living room squared away, that's going to be the streaming headquarters from now on. I will just be there. No, there's no more doing it from the bedroom. I don't want to make my bed. So this nighttime ritual continues. I get the fan right exactly where it's going to be. And I got it on high, but the wind it's not blowing out the way it should, in my opinion, quite frankly. I've got my hand out and it's strong. And look, when it's blowing directly in your face, it's totally strong. But I'm like, maybe there's something up here because it just doesn't feel like it's getting the job done. Now, the thing is, I would prefer to take it outside and turn a hose on it. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's dust inside of it and stuff. Because I don't know. I don't clean the fucking thing. And my house is a goddamn dust farm. I mean, it's insane. Pat couldn't believe it. Like when Pat came over to paint, and then he came over just 2 days later. He's like, how does this dust get here? Because he thought it was the old carpet. But it turns out I just got a dusty place, man. I got all the windows open and stuff. There's just dust all over the joint. I close my eyes only for a moment. And then the moment's gone and I'm covered in dust. So I got this fan and I'm looking inside. And like I said, it's blowing, but it just doesn't. In my head, I'm like, I wonder if this could be a little better. I wonder if there's a way to get just to coax a little bit more air out of it. I'm like, I wonder if it's the back. Because, I noticed this. Yeah, of course, if you stand, the fan is drawing air through the back. But if I'm standing behind it, it makes that noise where it completely changes because it's not getting enough air intake. And in my head, I'm like, all right, well, maybe there's dust in there. So I go and I grab a feather duster. And I don't have like a real feather duster. I have this weird, I don't know what gay pride parade my ex-wife found this thing at, but it is a rainbow feather duster. It's gotta be, it looks like a sex toy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just fucking, a feather duster has it looks like a bird. It's got that thing on the top with the feathers and then it's got a long wooden handle. This thing's plastic, but it's got rainbow, it's not even feathers, like I would say just material. How the fuck would I put that? Yarn? Not yarn, because that would be like a mop. It's just really thin fibers. And so it looks like the kind of thing that you would shove into, you ever see those things that they have where you put them in tiny slots and they get really small and it cleans the slot? So I'm thinking that's maybe what it is. So I get it out and I got the fan going and I take the thing and I start to brush it on the front, not on the back. I start brushing it on the front vents. Now, keep in mind, it's like 3:30 in the morning. I can't wait to go to sleep. And again, I've already brushed my teeth. I'm still kind of zombied. I threw some Carmex on. And I'm standing there naked, fucking just trying to clean the dust out of the goddamn fan. And I'm going in a motion. I'm just going down, 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 down. Because up, down doesn't do anything. It's just pushing the dust back into the machine. So I'm going down, 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 and some dust is coming out. It's good. And then the fan blows it out. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. And I'm doing it. And I can see more dust in there. And I'm like, fuck, I got to get this. So I kind of lean the fan forward and I bang on it a little bit. And I'm going down, down, down. And it doesn't look like I'm making as much progress as I want. And I'm like, dummy. This thing is thin. It's not like a regular feather duster. You can jam this fucking thing in here and totally clean out the dust. Ha, of course, right? Because that's what a man does. A man knows how to fix things. A man knows how to repair stuff. A man knows how to clean tower fans. So I grab my LGBTQ fucking feather duster, and I go and I'm like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to fuck this fan with this gay feather duster. That's what we're going to do. We're going to just fucking jam it right in the front and clean out these slots one at a time. Let's get these slots done. And I take this feather duster, and the fan is blowing some dust out, and I take the feather duster and I jam it inside to fucking clean out this big dust hunk that I saw, and I'm ready to get it out, and I hear and the fan stops. And it dawns on me, you know, a man probably would have known to turn the electric fan off before jamming something inside into the blades. So I withdraw the gayest feather duster west of the Pecos. And it's missing. I got a little haircut. I'm not going to lie to you. I got a chunk taken right off the top. And by the way, I didn't even know that there were blades in this thing. I thought it was just generating air. I guess, again, I don't know how anything works. It's a tower fan. There's nothing whirring in there. I mean, there's whirring, certainly, and air. But it's not like, with an oscillating fan, you can see blades oscillating. They're right there. You can see that. But this thing, it's clandestine. It's just this long, sleek, black, dark tower looking thing. I'm waiting for fucking Idris Elba to pop out of it and shoot Matthew McConaughey, and I figure I'm safe. So I go ahead and throw this thing in there, and it's just I don't. And then the whole fucking enterprise just shuts down, man. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh, that's. I mean, what I thought that there was just a fail-safe that shuts down if you shove a gay feather duster inside of the black tower. So I take it out, and it's off now. It's turned itself off. So I withdraw the feather duster, and I hit start. And I will tell you this, folks. The control panel works fine. I turn it on. It lights up green. It makes the beeping noise. I hit, small, slow, medium, fast to get up to the fast blades. I hit the oscillating U, so it tells you that it's going to rotate back and forth. And all of the control panel is working perfectly. You know what isn't working perfectly, folks? Other than this now decapitated feather duster? The Dark Tower fan. It is now, let's put it this way. Before Gay Feather Duster, I had the Dark Tower book. After jamming in Gay Feather Duster, I now have the Dark Tower movie. It won't work. It just doesn't work. I unplug it. I plug it back in. I'm pressing the buttons. Again, the control panel works fucking perfectly. Green dots, lots of beeps. Just no oscillation and no fan and no air and no nothing. And so I pick the thing up and I turn it upside down. And I can hear there's like loose stuff in there. I figure that's got to be the fucking skull of the feather duster that got cut off. And I don't know if the blades themselves are broken. I can't figure it out. All I know is I turn the thing upside down. It's like you just hear plink, plink. It's like a game of Plinko. You just clunk, 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 like stuff falls down. Doesn't come out because it's too big to get through the slots. But then I turn the thing upside down again and then I plug it in. And I mean nothing, man. Nothing. And now recognize it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm naked and tired. And it's hot, and I just want to go to bed, and I want to get the fan blow. I just discovered the newest fan equation. I was the fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson of learning how to sleep comfortably. I used science. I used trajectory. I made sure it was a 6-foot radius, and it got me from fucking pillar to post, from ankle to fucking eyeballs. And instead, I jam a fucking RuPaul looking feather duster directly into the blades. How do you not turn it off? How do you not turn it off? What do you think? I guess I wasn't thinking. All right, shut up. That's all I'll tell you. I wasn't thinking. I will tell you this. I've learned a lot about myself in the past couple years, and I've actually been able to fucking get a handle on not punishing myself for doing bad things or dumb things. Because let's face it, this was a bad thing, and it may have been the dumbest of things. I literally shoved something into an oscillating fan trying to clean it without turning the motherfucker off. I mean, that makes no sense. None. Now that you say it out loud, but in the moment, I'm tipping it over, I'm cleaning it, dust is coming out, I figure I'm making progress, I'm going to jam this in there, and then what a fucking drag. So now I got nothing. So then in my head, I'm like, all right, what white noise am I going to use? I think I mentioned when I went to the Jesuits compound on YouTube, I was able to find fucking A Train in the Rain being ridden by John Wayne. Which, well, howdy, partner. Well, howdy, partner. Thunder. Train tracks. That's all he said was howdy, partner. And fill your hands, you son of a bitch. That's all John Wayne says. When it's John Wayne on a train in the rain for 8 hours. Fill your hands, you son of a bitch. Well, howdy, partner. Rain, train, clang. So I'm like, do I got to go to YouTube now and find fucking this? I didn't punish myself. That's the thing I'm most proud of. What am I least proud of? Fucking up the fan. I'm not going to lie to you. What am I least proud of? Not turning off the fan before I jam something inside of it. Because I was trying to do a good thing, folks. I'm just trying to clean it. I want to get a better production. Because this is when you get cocky. When I'm doing shit in the house and I'm moving stuff around, I'm like, yeah, I'm actually good at this. I think I can handle being a man. And then I literally, you know what? It's the only good news is the slots weren't big enough for my hand. Because I guarantee you I would have jammed that in there at some fucking point, just like an infant, just like, ha ha ha, fingertips cut off. Idiot. But I'm not an idiot. I just made a mistake. We all make mistakes, right? People make mistakes. You make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Wouldn't you like to make a mistake too? So my point is, do you want to be a man, folks? Are you a better person if you feel that you're manly? Can you fix shit? Come to my house. Help me out. Save me. Because I'm just going to be standing on a stool with my fucking dress pulled up along my waist saying, eek at a mouse. God damn it, I can't fix anything. And you're probably thinking, well, Mike, did you have to go find YouTube noise? No, I did not. Because guess what? Here's what I have. The same day I bought Dark Tower Fan, I bought its a little buddy. I bought a little friend. I bought a little companion. Or it might have even come free, like buy the tall one, get the small one. 2 for 1, baby. So I went and dug that out of one of the recently renovated closets. So now I knew where the thing was. And I just put that on my nightstand and I had that cranked up to just shoot me. Now look, it didn't go eyeballs to ankles. I just went straight eyeballs. I let the fucking thing just blow into my face. But that's fine because it was noise and I got a gust full of air in my face all night long. I can handle that. I can do that. I don't need an ankles cool. And I just go without blankets. You just fucking lay naked on the top sheet and just and hope the heat doesn't get you. And fall's coming anyway, right? We don't need the fan. We need it for noise, but we don't need it for anything else. We certainly don't need a breeze. We need a steel breeze. Uninvited, don't know where to go, don't know what I'm gonna do. That's Steel Breeze. You should check them out. You don't want me anymore. Won't you let me explain? 'Cause I don't want to lose ya. That was one of the 80s songs that I enjoyed a million years ago, probably around the 80s. Folks, let's talk about my weekend. Did I drive? I did. Did I get into the car? Thank you all for the feedback on last week's show. You're all very nice. I went out and drove Saturday. I will tell you that I waited. I did the show for you guys on Tuesday, and then Wednesday came, and then Thursday came, and I wanted to go drive. And you know what it was? Even doing last week's show made me think about not wanting to be in the car for a while. Just not wanting to go out and deal with. I didn't want a drunk kid to take a poke at me. I didn't want to see anybody's face. I just wanted to go ahead, and I didn't hide inside. I mean, I was okay. I went to the gym and stuff like that. I lived. I got a lot of apartment stuff done, which was great. But boy, oh boy, did I not want to go drive? So I didn't. I didn't on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I wound up going out late on Friday, and I wound up driving on Saturday as well. But here was the thing. I should tell you this, too. I got the fever last week. I didn't think I was going to get the fever. But it's been a long time coming. I've been waiting and waiting. Now, look, I always have a low-grade version of this fever. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm always able to ignore it and not think about it. But last week, folks, last Sunday, last week, I'll just talk about it all week long. Like I said, I did the show. I thought about going to drive, but I had an end game. I had an arbitrary goal in mind. I had a thing to look forward to. I love having things to look forward to. I've got Toronto to look forward to at the end of this week. Sunday, I get on a plane. It's going to be fucking amazing. I love having something like an end game, something to reach, something to look forward to. And last week, that thing was a very visceral, in my mind, front of my medulla type of goal. It was something I could not wait for, something I'd been waiting, quite frankly, for since, I'm going to say February. Yeah, February. 7 months. This was popping in my head, and I only convinced myself to want it more as time passed. Like, it's one of those things where as things get closer, you get excited, but also you're kind of like, well, I'm not going to get too excited. Fuck it. I was in. Sunday was the first game of your Chicago Bears, ladies and gentlemen. And I say your because I know you all love them with me. You all want to bear down Chicago Bears. I gave myself over to being excited. Now, look, things have not been good for the Bears in recent times. We know this, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of years ago, they had a shot at the division title, and I happened to be in the building when they blew it. That's right. That was, I think that was December 29th of 2013, a date that will live in infamy. That will be known as the date that Chris Conti got fried by Randall Cobb. I don't even want to say the names. They're ugly words, folks. They're ugly words. But Randall Cobb on 4th and fucking 8 caught like a 60-yard touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers to defeat the Bears in Chicago and have them win the division and go to the playoffs. And that was, oh my Christ, was that bad? That was 2013, and I was there. I was there when it happened. I heard every ounce of air go out of the building, and the only thing, it was gray twilight. It was almost darkness. The lights were out in the stadium. The only thing that I could see were the lights shining off of the perfect smile of Jill, who was standing next to me, huge Packer fan in her Packer jersey. That might have been the last time I was really excited for Bears football. And even before that, like the previous time was probably the Super Bowl. Although, when they got Jay Cutler, I was pretty excited when they got Jay Cutler. They made the trade. They traded 2 draft picks. But the Super Bowl was in fucking, February of 2007, February 4th, I think. And I was excited for that game, February 4th, 2007. I was excited to go. I wanted to go. I was on Never Not Funny. I kept looking for ways to go. My buddy Dennis and I were going to go, but then he bailed out on me in the last 3 days. And we didn't go. And then the Bears, and then they took the opening kickoff back. Holy fuck, dudes. When the Bears won the Super Bowl, how did they win the Super Bowl? When they played in the Super Bowl in 2007, it was the 2006 season, but in February of 2007, Devin Hester was a rookie, and he had lit up the league, folks, with his kickoff returns and his golden smile. And the Colts, who had the worst kick return coverage in the game, kicked the ball to Devin Hester. Like, no one knows why. They could have kicked it in the end zone. They could have kicked it out of bounds, whatever they could have done. But I guess they decided they wanted to be men about it, and they fucking kicked deep. And Devin Hester caught the ball on, not even deep. I think it was like a 92-yard return. They only got it to the fucking 8. And then Hester just fucking breaks it, and he's gone. And the funniest part is Devin Hester, he watches himself in the scoreboard. That's the greatest thing. He watches himself on the Diamond Vision, and a guy catches him right at the last second, so he doesn't get to run into the end zone unscathed. A guy tackles him, hits him at the 1, and he falls into the end zone. But still, when I watched that game, I watched it at, do you know who John Campanera is? I may have talked about this on the show. I went to John Campanera's house, but at the time I was at Never Not Funny, so I don't think we really delved into it. But I went to John Campanera, a famous Chicago comedian's house, and Jimmy Pardo came over. Lenny, my brother Lenny was there at the time. He and I aren't talking. And I actually went to Portillo's. I went down to Portillo's, which is this famous Chicago joint that I told you guys about. It was in fucking Anaheim, Buena Park. I drove 45 miles south to buy fucking like $100 worth of fucking Italian beef. I just bought Italian beef and gravy and the sterno and the whole catering job. I brought it, and I brought it to Campanera's house. I show up, and we just start unloading it on the table, and everybody's like, fucking Chicago Italian beef, you're kidding me. Fucking everybody starts eating the beef, and we're celebrating, and that's before even the kickoff, man. And then that kickoff happens. And I was watching it. It was funny. They had TVs in every room, and I'm in the living room in the front of the house. I mean, Campanera's got him. He's the guy's got a fucking sitcom. He's got a giant fucking house. So, and I don't even know John, by the way. I went because that was where the Chicago guys were going, and I heard it through the grapevine, and I'm like, I got an invite, and I was like, all right, I'm in. So we're watching the kickoff in the living room, and I won't ever forget it. The kick happens. Hester fucking takes it. He breaks the contain, and he's gone. And he crosses the goal line. And I didn't even hear the announcer. Like, I didn't even know what the fuck happened. All I know is I immediately, because there's a whole bunch of other guys watching it in the back of the house in another room. And I just ran. And when I got to the doorway, I didn't even run in the doorway. I leaped in and just landed and just fucking stared at everybody. And they just started fucking cracking up, and I just started pointing. I'm like, you're goddamn right. You're goddamn right. You can't waste magic. And I walked around fucking hugging and high-fiving or screaming. I'm lifting dudes over my head. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like one of the greatest moments, certainly in my Bears fan history, just for him to take the opening kickoff back in the Super Bowl. What the fuck? And also, because it wasn't even unexpected. Like, you kind of were like, yeah, he could probably do that. And then he did it. Like, nobody does that. Nobody calls their shot. Devin Hester's the Babe Ruth of kickoff returns in 2007. It was amazing. So then We're watching that Super Bowl, me and a bunch of Chicago dudes, and we're just having the greatest time. We're high-fiving. And then it slowly dawns on us as the rain starts pouring and Cedric Benson pulls himself out of the game that, oh no, the Bears are not doing well here. Peyton Manning goes back to pass, and the Bears fuck up a coverage, and Reggie Wayne catches like an 8,000-yard touchdown pass. And eventually Grossman throws a pick, and then the fucking Colts just start gashing the defense in the rain with both running backs. You're like, oh, this is not happening. But it was. And it's funny, to this day, Mex, he's mad that the Bears made that Super Bowl because he would have rather they didn't make it than lose. Because the Bears were 1-0 lifetime in Super Bowls. They won in 1985. But for them to go in 2006 and lose, he's like, it fucks up our perfect record in the Super Bowl. I go, come on, dude, you had to want them in the Super Bowl. He goes, yeah, if they win. He goes, but if they lose, I would much rather they didn't even fucking go. Because now we got to take this L, man. It's just there forever. And I understood his point, but at the same time, it's like, it's the fucking Super Bowl. You want them there. But then they got methodically ground down. It was terrible. The only, honestly, Italian Beef was third on the list of great things that day. Number one was Hester's kickoff. And number two, of course, was Prince playing the halftime show in the rain and just being unbelievable. And also playing Best of You by Foo Fighters without telling Dave Grohl he was gonna. That's such a great story. Dave Grohl's like, I was watching the game, and then Prince starts doing Best of You, and I'm like, what? Like, to hear fucking Prince do your song on that fucking level of a stage? Jesus Christ, that's got to be amazing. So that was when I had real hope and real happiness, was in 2006, 2007, when the Bears, their defense is ridiculous. And then time went by and they hired a series of coaches. They hired, they fired Lovie Smith and they hired this guy named Mark Trestman. And I liked Coach Nerd in the beginning because here's the thing. I try to be optimistic. This is one thing that's definitely happened. So this is what I was saying. I don't invest anymore. I like football a lot. I love the Bears. I want them to win. But if they don't win, it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to lose myself in it. You know what I mean? I've got other things to do and my life is more important and I'm 51 years old. Sports shouldn't mean much to me anymore. You should just be like, oh, this is a fun distraction. And if it happens, just go, that's fine. And that was the case until, you start watching your team win a little bit. And then you start to kind of, with every victory, with every move, you start to invest more and more. And in 2006, I at the time when the Super Bowl was going on in 2007, I had a writing job. I was doing well. It was so sports were a fun distraction. You try not to invest too much. In 2013, I was just starting a relationship and I was fucking head over heels in love. And I was like, this is the move. It's going to be fantastic. And, sports is sports, but at the same time, it's just a fun and friendly rivalry. Well, the Bears this offseason, because they sucked. The last 3 years, they sucked. And when I say the last 3 years, that's since 2013. They've been really bad. They fired Coach Nerd because the team fell apart. The locker room hated him, and they fucking cut Mark Trestman loose. By the way, this is very sports heavy. I recognize that. Certainly, we talked about a fan and gay feather dusters, but now we've transferred into the sports portion of the show. I hope you can stick around, but if not, I totally won't. It won't bother me. It won't. I was gonna say, I won't mind, and it won't bother me. I'll see you next week. But Coach Nerd was there, and he lost the locker room, and they hated him. They fucked around with Brian Urlacher, who's one of the greatest players in the history of the organization. They weren't going to sign him and bring him back. And, they brought this fucking GM was just trying to put his own stamp on the team, Phil Emery. And look, I backed them up because I was like, I like Coach Nerd. I like thinking outside the box. And then I was like, oh, fuck, when Coach Nerd he just fell on his face. Then they were looking for another coach. And then there was a guy named John Fox who had coached the Denver Broncos. He'd actually taken the Broncos and the Panthers to the Super Bowl. And he came available after they signed whiz kid, young GM Ryan Pace, who I supported. I was all over him. And then I was like, when John Fox came available, I'm like, holy fuck, if Pace signs Fox, he's the young guy. There's the old guy. There's your Thunder and Lightning. There's your Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. They're going to old and young this fucking team to the top. So sure enough, they meet John Fox. They give him the job. And I'm like, this is perfect. You get him in there. He's a new sheriff in town. He goes ahead and establishes something in the locker room and he gets everybody squared away. Meanwhile, Pace is the mad genius. He's going to go ahead and find guys, make trades, do things, sign free agents and draft guys. He's going to rebuild this fucking team. The monsters are coming back. But at the same time, I wasn't that invested because as I've mentioned, life takes over. You start paying your bills. You start running around and trying to drive. You're in a relationship that you're trying to make work. And I was always able to find solace. Jill and I shared football, but it was always a fun thing. You know what I mean? And it had to be because, honestly, the Packers would wind up drumming the fucking Bears most of the time. But I was able to be in Lambeau Field a couple of times with Jill when the fucking Bears beat them. And I was able to tweet with you guys and write stuff on Facebook. And that was totally fun. So when the Bears did win games, it was fun. 2013 when they won. I think it was 2015 possibly, or maybe 2014 at Lambeau when they broke. Because, again, I saw them break Aaron Rodgers' collarbone. I saw them defeat the fucking Packers on Thanksgiving night when they retired Brett Favre's number. I was all excited about all those things. Now, was I less excited when I was in Lambeau Field and the Packers led 42-0 at the half? I was. But to Jill's credit, she smiled at me and said, "This is really out of hand. Let's get the fuck out of here." And we did, which was nice. She didn't torture me. She didn't torment me. And it was something we shared. It was a cool thing to bond over between us in a new relationship. And she knew her stuff. She wasn't just like, duh, football. No, she was a fan. But I still didn't get completely attached. I didn't let myself do it because, again, I had other things going on. I got life to live, man. I got to try to pay bills. I got to try to stay afloat. I got to try to keep this show going. I got to possibly go do live stuff. I have to dedicate myself to making something of myself, and I can't just lose myself in sports. That's easy to do, and it's okay to do if you want to do that, but I couldn't. It's not like when I was a kid and the Phillies would lose a game and I would cry, and that happened. I mean, it happened in 1980. I was like so disappointed. One time they were losing, they wound up winning the World Series that year, which was thankful. But I mean, I was 13 years old in 1980. There's no reason to be crying over a baseball game, but I was so tense, and they'd never won, and they'd come close like 3 other times in my life that it just kind of overwhelmed me, and I get fucking schooled. And then you get older, and you see when Walter Payton lost in his last game in Soldier Field, it teared me up, and I was like, this fucking sucks, but then as you get older, you realize life is there to be lived. You can't live vicariously through these things that are happening. You can have fun, certainly can have hobbies, and you can love your team, but there's no reason to get sucked in. Sports shouldn't mean that much. So I say that to you now. But then in this offseason, the Bears changed and my life changed. In that the Bears went ahead and when the season ended, because they were dudes, the Bears were, I could not watch them. I watched late in the season just to see Trubisky play some games. Their new quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. I watched him a few times and I wanted to get a feel for him, but I didn't wake up early to see them. I'd turn on the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, it wasn't an imperative of mine. And also, I didn't have anybody to share it with anymore. Jill and I were done, so I was just I was on my own, and I had other things going on. So I just didn't bother because they were bad, and in my head, they suck, man. I can't invest in this. It's cool if they win. Not going to care if they don't. But then the season ended. And they fired John Fox, who I had seen as a savior a few years before. And so they go out looking for a new coach. Now, again, like I said, Ryan Pace is a wunderkind. He's the general manager. I think he's only 43. Young guy in charge of one of the most storied franchises in the history of the NFL. And he's hit on some draft picks. I was all in on the Trubisky pick. He made a controversial trade to move up and get his quarterback. But you know what? If you identify your fucking quarterback, go get him. Because a couple of years ago, the Bears had a chance to get one of the best defensive players in football. His name is Aaron Donald. He plays for the Los Angeles Rams. The Bears were going to draft him. He was falling. And then one pick before he got to them, the Rams, who did not need a defensive lineman, they had like 50 sacks the year before, went ahead and drafted Aaron Donald ahead of the Bears. And it's a legendary story around the beat writers because they said the Bears draft room, their war room, froze. They didn't know what the fuck to do. They just sat there and stared at one another because they really didn't have a plan B. So they had to take every single fucking second they were on the clock to go ahead and take Kyle Fuller, a cornerback. They knew they were going to take a defender, but they thought they were going to get Aaron Donald, possibly a generational lineman. And all they had to do was if they could have traded up like 2 slots, they would have got him. So I never have a problem with the guy aggressively going after the guy he wants to go after. So Ryan Pace goes out and gets Trubisky. He's picking 3rd in the draft. The Niners are picking 2nd. He actually makes a trade with the Niners just to move up 1 spot. He gives them a couple of 3rd-round draft picks. And, of course, this is the thing about sports these days. You have to run into social media. You have to look at Twitter. You have to see everybody's opinion. And I don't know if you know this, by the way, folks, everybody's right. Everybody in the world is right. And don't bother telling them they're wrong. And don't tell them, oh, really? You, the counter guy at Vienna Beef Hot Dogs, you know more about the Bears than Ryan Pace? Well, of course, by all means, grab your tiny little megaphone and shout it to the fucking world. And please make sure you don't put the apostrophe in your. People are awful. And so the Bears make the trade for Trubisky, and I can't get invested. I'm excited. I go, well, that's cool. I'm glad they got that guy. But online, people are like, Pace sucks. Fire him. He gave up too much. And I read all. And look, it's my own fault. I got onto the top of the fucking diving board and did a triple Lindy right into the pool of negativity. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just moved on. But instead, I marinated it and I read people and I just wound up getting my blood boiling. And that's a trick, man. You can't do that. You can't read shit and go, yeah, oh no, I totally get this. This makes me so mad. I wish this wasn't happening. Well, just fucking close it and walk the fuck away, man. That's all you got to do. But I have to admit, I enjoy reading about sports. I love participating in the discussion. And by participating, I mean reading, because I'm not about to fucking type it in and go, Bears are good, yay! I don't want to fucking do that. Because again, I'm not going to fight with ghosts, and I'm certainly not going to fight with some fucking UPS driver who thinks he knows more about the 46 defense than anybody who ever lived. But I was on board when they traded for Trubisky, and then last year they fucking kept him wrapped in bubble wrap the entire goddamn season. They ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball. They were predictable. They ran on first and second down. They'd throw a third down screen. I mean, they were just a fucking terribly unfun team to watch. If your team sucks but they're fun, that's a totally different story. Like this coming NBA season, I can't wait to watch the Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are going to suck. They might win 20 games, but they're going to score 115 points a game. It's going to be fucking hilarious. They're going to give up 135, but it's going to be up and down crazy fucking basketball, and it's going to be awesome and fun to watch. That's all I want to see is an entertaining team. Now, I mean, I'd love to win, but if the Bulls aren't going to win, at least they're going to be entertaining on their way to trying to get another draft pick or jake it and try to get a fucking free agent. That's fine. But they signed this kid, Jabari Parker. They went ahead and signed fucking, they kept Zach LaVine in the fold. They went ahead and drafted what's his name? Warren Davis? I don't fucking know. Some kid from Duke. And normally, look, dude, you know I got to be crazy if I'm excited for some kid from Duke to show up. Nobody wants a kid from Duke. But they got him. They got another dude from like fucking Boise State or some shit. I'm like, Ball State or another B State. I don't know where he's from. Brendan State? Baltimore State? Regardless, I'm in. The Bulls are going to be awful, but they're going to be crazy fun to watch. Now, conversely, the Blackhawks this coming year, I don't know what the fuck to expect. When they were winning Stanley Cups, I was all in on hockey and I loved it. I'm still all in on the Blackhawks. I love Jonathan Toews. I love Patrick Kane. I love Brandon Saad is back. I think they have a bounce back year. But right now they got a trouble with their goalie, so they might not be so fun to watch because they're going to be giving up goals left and fucking right. And also they gave Brent Seabrook, who also came from Baltimore State, if I believe correctly. That guy's a pylon. I mean, he's a guy, and they gave him like $48 million or $50 million, and he's not going to earn it. But that's okay, because in my opinion, the Hawks have earned grace periods. They signed dudes. They won cups. They won 3 fucking cups. I go on, like tonight, I'll tell you what, the Cubs right now are playing for their lives. They're playing the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost last night, and they're playing today. Jose Quintana's on the mound, and people are like, oh, well, Jose owns the Brewers, whatever. But they and the Brewers are in a fucking shootout. But the thing I got to read online is all these Cubs fans are like, fire Joe Madden, the fucking manager. Dude, the Cubs have the best record in the National League. The Cubs won a World Series 2 years ago. Last year, they staggered into the NL Championship Series and lost in 5, but it's because they were so gassed, man. They were fucking hurt. They just didn't get it done, but they got beat by a better team, a better Dodger team. But you want to fire the manager now? Why? And that's the weirdest phenomenon in sports. Cubs fans waited 108,000 years. I think it's 106 years for a title. 106 years. And then they win at the expense of the Indians, who've waited like 70 years. They celebrate on the Indians' home field. They go crazy. I mean, it's just this cathartic release where they win a World Series. And sports is unforgiving because the next morning everybody's like, all right, do it again. Do it again, man. And the fans, they put these weird expectations on players who have reached the pinnacle of their sport and their profession and clinched their life's dream. And then you're just like, all right, do it again so I can be happy. So I can go sell shoes with a smile on my face because I'm a Cub fan and I'm still happy that you guys are caring and that you're winning. You get enough money. Oh my God, we pay you so much fucking money. It's just such a weird dynamic. You can't, like if there were Cub fans who, when they won the World Series 2 years ago and they went, I'm never watching baseball again, you would understand it because they walked away at the pinnacle of their sport. Their dream was achieved. I'm lucky enough to see all 4 of my favorite teams win championships in my lifetime. I've seen the Bears in 85. I've seen the Phillies in 80 and 2008. I've seen the Cubs, or the Hawks win 3 cups. I've seen the Bulls, the Jordan Bulls. I mean, dude, for me to be mad or upset at teams and sports is just fucking foolish. There's no reason. And there's certainly no reason to carry a megaphone and yell about it on social fucking media. Fire Madden. Fire Madden? He won the World Series 2 years ago and you have the best record in the fucking league right now. So because he lost a game to the Brewers late in September, you're fucking pissed? Jesus Christ. I have no time for it. I don't like trash talk. I don't like shitty, it's one of the reasons the UFC is dead to me now. The UFC, man, I used to love mixed martial arts. I used to love the UFC. But now everybody feels they have to talk shit. And they have to talk shit in the most rudimentary, awful, evil, terrible ways. And they talk about a guy's daughter, or they talk about it. It's just classless. It's terrible. Now there's guys like Conor McGregor who have panache and they do it. And yeah, that's great. But then Conor McGregor goes fucking batshit insane because he gets so much money from the fucking Mayweather fight that he throws a dolly through a bus window. And people defend him on social media. They're like, oh, Mac's a real man. That's what he does. You know, when you're a tough guy, you're a fighter. And I mean, look, if your job is cage fighter, I totally get it. You're a little fucking loose. But you throw a fucking dolly through a bus window and you don't apologize in a fast fashion to the people who... There's other fighters on the bus. And they wanted them to open the door of the bus so they could go after McGregor and his people, and they would have had a fucking gang fight, but the fucking bus driver wouldn't open it because Habib is just like, give me open the door. And there's other fighters, but Michael Chiesa's got glass in his face. Now he's suing Conor McGregor, and fans are calling Michael Chiesa a pussy. Rose Namajunas is the fucking UFC women's title holder, I think in strawweight, possibly. I don't even... the weights for chicks are weird. But I think it's strawweight. But she can't fight. She won't even leave her house. She has this weird PTSD from fucking Conor attacking the bus because she also grew up in a weird environment where she was abused as a kid. So this brought all these triggers onto her, and she's like, yeah, I can't leave. And fans are like, strip her of the belt. If she can't fucking make it out of her house, yeah, you got to fucking toughen up. I'm so tired of toughen up. I'm so tired of people going, fire a guy who's an amazing coach or player or manager, and they're going, get rid of him. He's a bum. He's a slob. Fucking... People are so quick to be evil and mean and judge and angry. And that's what comes from identifying yourself through being a sports fan. And so for me, it became toxic years ago where I was like, you know what? I'm excited about sports, but I'm not going to lose my fucking mind. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, again, I was a kid. I've punched a hole through a wall because of a game, or I cried because of a game. And then I grew the fuck up. I'm 51 years old. Now, all that said, I was excited about the Chicago Bears this year. I was invested, man. When John Fox was terrible, I was like, this is awful. I can't even watch this team. But, if they win, that's cool. But then they fired him, and then they went out and got a guy named Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, who ran an offense last year that was scoring like 29 points a game. Like this unbelievably weird number. They had a stiff white quarterback named Alex Smith who he actually could move a little bit, but he was older. But still, they put in all these plays where they kept him on the move, and they had these young, shifty receivers and a lot of fucking cross motion. And it was just an interesting, fun. Like I said, the Bulls are going to be fun to watch. The Chiefs were really fun to watch. Now, unfortunately, they were fun to watch in the opening game last year when they thumped the fucking Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And you're like, holy fuck, these Chiefs have come out of nowhere. But then, of course, by the end of the year, they lose one of their key defenders to an Achilles injury, and then their gimmicky offense, one game, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and they get fucking blown out. You're like, no, so they lose in the playoffs. And you're like, God damn it, this is the team I was counting on to throw in these fucking massholes. I'm tired of fucking watching the Patriots. But the Bears go ahead, and Matt Nagy was, there were other coaches out there, but Matt Nagy was one of the hot names because of Kansas City's offense, and the Bears they didn't even fuck around. Ryan Pace is like, I got him. So he signs that dude. Now, they get him, then they go out and get an offensive line coach. Now, again, believe me, 11 years into a podcast, I never thought I'd be giving you the name of an offensive line coach, but I am. Harry Highstand, who supposedly is one of the best offensive line coaches in the world. They pirated him away from fucking Notre Dame. He comes back, and he was the offensive line coach when the Bears went to the Super Bowl in fucking 2007. So they get him on the staff. Then Vic Fangio, who's a really good defensive coordinator, he's been on the Bears staff, but he's going to leave. Even though last year they became a top 10 defense, he's a free agent. He looks like he might split. So the Packers call. They're trying to sign him away, and the Bears are like, nope, they keep Fangio. So they got Nagy, Fangio. They bring Harry Highstand in to coach the offensive line, and then he gets this guy named Mark Helfrich from fucking Oregon to be the offensive coordinator. And if you watch, I've talked about Oregon on here before. Their offense is ridiculous. They don't even, and their facilities are so crazy because Phil Knight from Nike gives them all this money. They have like 12 different uniforms. They have this green and gold color scheme. They have a whole fucking football campus where it's almost like a different city. And I've said it before on the show. Oregon isn't like a football team. They're like the Avengers. Like, why wouldn't you want to go there if you were 18 years old? You get to wear fucking 18 different uniforms and fucking go out and lift weights and get girls and fucking play games. And I mean, it's enticing. Why wouldn't you do it? So Mark Helfrich, he was a guy who designed, in the wake of Chip Kelly, he had their offense and I enjoyed him. And again, he was a different coach. The way Nagy did things, and then he wanted to pick the brain of Mark Helfrich. I'm like, let these fucking guys team up, take the league by storm. Now, look, have I fallen for it before with Coach Nerd and Mark Trestman? I have, but I don't care. I was on board. I'm like, Larry, I'll give these guys a chance. And it's going to be Trubisky's second year. They're going to free him up. So then free agency comes, and the Bears go out, and on the first day, they sink like $80 million into the fucking offense. They sign Allen Robinson, coming off a fucking knee injury, but a 6'4" touchdown machine out of Jacksonville as their lead receiver. They signed Trey Burton to come in and be their fucking tight end. They still get this kid, Adam Shaheen, a 6'7" project, is going to be their second tight end. They wind up signing Taylor Gabriel in the slot. He's just this really fucking fast water bug receiver from Atlanta. They invest all this fucking cash, and I'm like, dude, this is fucking amazing. So they keep Fangio. They go out and they get these receivers. They get all these fucking offensive weapons for Trubisky. They've also got Jordan Howard, who's a 1,000-yard rusher. They got Tariq Cohen, who last year was returning kicks, returning punts, catching screen passes, throwing touchdown passes. He's one of those dudes, man. He's a Swiss Army knife, and we got him. And I'm like, holy shit, you get the minds of Nagy and fucking Helfrich, and they're going to take the Swiss Army knife and Tariq Cohen. They're going to plunge into the hearts of the fucking NFL. This is going to be fantastic. So you got Taylor Gabriel in the slot, Tariq Cohen going everywhere, Allen Robinson going vertical, Trey Burton running crossing patterns, all in the fucking crafty Nagy offense. I'm on board. Let's do this. But they weren't done. Then the draft comes, and the Bears in the first round, they wound up taking their fucking middle linebacker of the future, a kid named Roquan Smith out of Georgia. This kid's got speed from sideline to sideline. He's fucking killing dudes. He wound up playing last year in the college football playoff, and everybody's like, this is the best linebacker in the country. Well, guess what? Show up in fucking Chicago where the best linebackers always have played. Fucking Urlacher, Marshall, Singletary, Butkus, goddamn Buffon. All these badasses. And now he's going to follow in their footsteps, Roquan Smith. So now the Bears have fucking tuned up their defense with Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan, fucking Leonard Floyd rushing the passer. They run a 3-4, so they got fucking Goldman and Buller up front. They got Roy Robertson Harris, who they like. I'm like, all right, well, look, this fucking team can do some damage. They don't have a pass rush, but other than that, they're okay. Now, look, that's a terrible thing to say because in the NFL, if you say they don't have a pass rush, but other than that, they're okay, well, they're fucked. They're going to go 7-9 because you need to have a pass rush. But still, they've got offensive weapons. They've got some defensive stability. The aforementioned Kyle Fuller, who the Bears drafted instead of Aaron Donald last year, became a Pro Bowl cornerback. So then he was a free agent. The Bears let the NFL set the market. The Packers signed him to a fucking offer sheet, and the Bears matched it immediately. So now the Packers tried to get Fangio. The Packers tried to get fucking Kyle Fuller. The Bears said, no, we're keeping him. In addition, Allen Robinson, the vertical weapon from Jacksonville, it came down to the Bears and the Packers for that, and he signed with the Bears. All of our neighbors to the north were getting trounced. Everybody in Illinois' hat was furious because the Bears were keeping all their guys and then getting new dudes away from the Packers. And then the draft comes, like I said, they draft Roquan Smith in the first round, and they don't have a second-round pick. But they trade next year's number 1 to move back into the second round, and it gets them, actually they traded next year's number 2 to move back into the second round, along with a 3, and they get fucking Anthony Miller, who's some people consider the best receiver in the draft. Because he's like a little Steve Smith. He's got attitude. He runs out of the slot. He catches fucking everything, and he's got fucking swagger. The Bears haven't had swagger in forever. But now you got Allen Robinson swagger. You got Swiss Army Knife Cohen swagger. You got Jordan Howard fucking steady as a rock. You got Trubisky looking at this embarrassment of riches of people he can fucking involve in the offense. What offense? Nagy's offense. Helfrich's offense. The fucking crazy, weird, upside down, we're going to come from the fucking Stranger Things upside down offense. You can't handle our title. Sure, the Vikings have the best defense in the league, but all you got to beat out is the Packers and the Lions to finish second and try to get into the fucking wild card race. And who knows what happens to the Vikings, a couple injuries here or there, because that's another thing. Everybody's like, oh man, the Bears have a terrible fucking schedule. The Bears' schedule is so fucking weak. Or, I'm sorry, so fucking strong. Yes, I agree. It's brutal. However, 3 dudes get hurt, and that schedule can become the weakest schedule in the league. That's how the NFL works. If all of a sudden somebody's bus crashes and 2 guys get hit by cars or a plane goes down, the Bears have the fucking weakest schedule ever, and they run it page and they win a fucking million games. So you never judge the schedule from the beginning of the season. Everybody says that, oh, the Bears, they're facing a 546 winning percentage. It's going to be terrible. Well, yeah, but Again, you never know year to year in the NFL. One injury fucks everybody up. Trust me, I know. So, the offseason is humming along. They get Roquan Smith and Anthony Miller. And then they wind up taking a flyer on a bunch of young kids who could help the pass rush later. Kylie Fitz. Guys like that. Some guy named Crowell, I think. So again, they've built this team in Nagy's image. Their offense is going to be ridiculous. They have 8 weapons. You got Robinson, Cohen, Howard. You got fucking Gabriel. You got Shaheen. You got Burton. You got Benny Cunningham coming in as a third down back sometimes. You got a guy named Kevin White, who they drafted in the first round a couple of years ago. Sure, he's made of glass. He's never done anything in the NFL, but he's still lurking. And if that's your 8th weapon rather than your 2nd best weapon, good for you. You've made changes. You've made improvements. Nagy, Helfrich, they know what they're doing. Fangio. So they added Roquan Smith to that number 10 ranked defense. They add Anthony Miller to this plethora of weapons for Trubisky. The only thing they don't have is a pass rush. And I'm like, well, you know what? We can fake it without a pass rush. We can go 7-9, 8-8 this year, and I'll be happy with that because they've been 5-11 for the past few years. But if you can just go ahead and win 7 or 8 games this year and show some improvement, I'll be happy because the next year you go ahead and get your pass rusher. You figure out a way to do it. And then, folks, the Oakland Raiders bring back John Gruden as their coach. And John Gruden, who is averse to giving out big contracts to multiple players on his team, realizes he has a quarterback named Derek Carr who's already earning $26 million a year. Unfortunately, he has a player who, while still under contract for $13 million a year, wants to renegotiate, wants to get a better deal. He's in the same basket as Aaron Donald. Remember the aforementioned Aaron Donald, who the Rams drafted? Well, they needed to re-sign him or put the fucking franchise tag on him to get him into camp. Well, the Raiders have the same type of guy. They got a guy named Khalil Mack, number 52 in your program, from Buffalo University. He's truly from Buffalo State University. And he has blossomed into probably the 2nd best pass rusher in the league, behind Von Miller of the Denver Broncos. Yes, I know J.J. Watt. I get it. I understand. I hear you about your J.J. Watt's right up there too. But he also gets injured. But Khalil Mack has proved it on the field. J.J. Watt's proved that on the field too. Yes, I don't want to have this argument. But J.J. Watt's from Wisconsin. He'll always be less than Khalil Mack. Buffalo better than Wisconsin. Greater than Wisconsin. So Khalil Mack is unhappy in Oakland. And General Manager Reggie McKenzie is like, what does it matter? We're going to fucking sign Khalil, no problem. And John Gruden says, I cannot wait to get Khalil Mack back into the fold. But time keeps ticking. Week 1 of the preseason. First, he doesn't show up at camp. Then he doesn't show up at week 1. Then he doesn't show up at week 2. He's still holding out. Week 3 comes along, and everybody's like, are you going to sign this guy? And they're like, of course. We love Khalil. He's great. A couple days go by, and they're like, well, you know, if Khalil doesn't want to play here, maybe we have to think about some things. Whoa. Hold on a second. Hey, Chucky. Khalil never said he didn't want to play there. He just wants to get paid commensurate to his value. Could you do that? Could you give him the money? I mean, I know you're thinking to yourselves, well, this guy makes $13 million. That's a lot of dough. Yeah, but, you know, then Aaron Donald comes along and he signs a contract where he's getting fucking like $95 million in guarantees. And Khalil Mack is like, why am I putting my knees on the line for $13 million when I can get $95 million or 89 or whatever the fuck it was? So, sure enough, the Raiders are like, well, you know, Khalil should come to camp and then we'll talk about it, but we're finding him, but he should come to camp. And Khalil doesn't say anything. But then a couple days before the final preseason game, Khalil posts a picture on Twitter of himself pass rushing somebody, and he just writes the phrase, I miss it. And then Derek Carr, quarterback of the Oakland Raiders, replies to his tweet and writes, we miss you. He may have said, I miss you. Regardless, the sentiment was there. The Raiders want him back. All of the teammates. Every player in the locker room recognizes what kind of a talent Khalil Mack is. And then it bleeds out that, wait a second, as we head into the final preseason weekend, perhaps the Raiders would be interested in moving Khalil Mack. But it's going to take a king's ransom. You're going to need to deal at least 2 first-round picks. And the only team in the league that has 2 immediate first-round picks that they can hand off to the goddamn Oakland Raiders would be the hated people in Illinois' hat, the Green Bay Packers. They've got 2 number 1s next year. They could lose those. You've already got Aaron Rodgers, who they just gave $1 billion to. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's the best quarterback in football. Then you get Khalil Mack, who is, if not the best pass rusher, certainly a close number 2 to Von Miller. So then you'd have the fucking vicious Khalil Mack on defense. You'd have Aaron Rodgers behind center. And that's all I'm reading is that the Packers are the favorites. And then I'm reading Bears Twitter, and they're like, oh, man, if the fucking Packers get Khalil Mack, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. And I thought the same thing. But I also thought in my head, I'm like, well, I mean, you know, I'd love to take a run at him. Pace is aggressive, but I don't see it happening. Cleveland's got a lot of picks. All these other teams have a lot of picks. And then I heard the Bears are one of the finalists. And again, like I said, this is 2-3 weeks ago. And then I'm driving in my car. I turn on the radio. I'm holding you close. You just say no. I'm driving, and it's very early in the morning, like 7 a.m. I've driven all night long, and I get a text from my buddy Jim O'Donnell, and I didn't get to read it because I was driving a passenger. And all I could see it, though. It said, well, now this is getting interesting. That's all it said. And it had an attachment, which I could not check out. So I'm driving this person, and I drop them off, and then I leave, and I kind of forget about checking, and I pick up another person, and I drive them, and I make a couple more rides, and then I pull over, and I grab the phone. I'm not pinged yet, so I check the text, and it's from Jimmy, and it says, the attachment is a headline, and it says, Chicago Bears have deal in place with Raiders for Mac. And at the time, I'm on Beverly, parked in front of Uncle Paulie's Deli, waiting to go get a breakfast sandwich, and I fucking yell louder than I've yelled in probably 5 years. Check that. I yell louder than I've yelled in a week after I yelled at that kid in his face because he slammed my door. But I lost my fucking mind. I was like, they're going to get Khalil Mack. And so I immediately dive into Twitter. And I'm like, what are they giving up? They got to be giving up. Are they giving up players? And everybody's speculating, but nobody knows yet. But it looks like it's going to be the number one pick. So then I get in a fucking text wheelhouse with Jimmy and Ak and all my friends. And Ak is a Raider fan, and he's nonplussed because the first thing he says is, well, Khalil Mack can't play the run. Good luck, you guys, with against. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care if he can play the run at this point. If he gets fucking 15 sacks, if he just runs and pins his ear back, he can let every running back run past him. I don't give. He can be Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders couldn't play the run. He's in the fucking Hall of Fame. So I'm in my car and I'm getting juiced up and I'm reading stuff on Twitter. Everybody's laughing at the Bears. They're like, I can't believe the Bears will give up 2 number 1 picks. They suck and Trubisky sucks and everybody sucks and the Bears suck and why would they even do this? What a waste. And oh my God, they're going to have to pay him all this money too and the Raiders are fucking geniuses. And I'm getting more fucking upset by it. And finally, I had to call Jimmy O. I called Jimmy O. He's on the bus to the fucking Michigan Notre Dame game. He answers and I just start screaming into the phone. I'm like, God damn it, Khalil Mack, 52 coming to Chicago. He's like, I know. It's amazing. I go, all these people are telling me this is a fucking mistake, that they're dealing number ones that they're going to miss. Who gives a fuck? You're number 1 picks now. You know what? Last year you dealt a pick and you dealt a pick this year. You know, you're going to deal these 2 number 1s and a 2. Fucking last year you traded it for Anthony Miller at the draft and now you're getting Khalil Mack. That's your 2 number 1s. Next year's number 1 and number 2 draft pick are fucking Anthony Miller in the slot and Khalil Mack coming off the edge. Make this fucking trade. God damn it. And he's laughing at me because I'm yelling. I'm going, get fucking pumped. I want to fucking hear it. I go, Ak is telling me he can't play the fucking run. I don't care. And he's yelling at me. I'm yelling at him. He's on a bus. And I let him go. And like I said, it's fucking 8 a.m, man. I call Woj and he picks up the phone and I'm like, God damn it, Woj. Pick up the goddamn phone when I called because Khalil Mack's a goddamn Chicago Bear. And he's like, it's unbelievable. We're fucking doing it. And I go, God. And we start just fucking yelling. He's like, you're getting me pumped, Schmitty. I go, I'm getting you pumped because goddamn it, the fucking Bears are on board. And I told you, I'm 51. Sports shouldn't mean this much to me. I was excited, but not crazy. I was thrilled, but not a fucking nutbag. Up until I got that text that said things are about to get interesting. Things are getting interesting. And Mac becomes a Bear and I lose my mind. And that's it. And now, because now I'm in. And now I'm like, holy shit. Because like I told you, the only thing they needed was a pass rush. They had all the weapons. They had Roquan Smith to stuff the run, go sideline to sideline. They had the fucking safeties, Eddie Jackson, these kids, Amakamura and Fuller back at corner, who were a little weak, but with a pass rush you can cover up for that. But I didn't fucking care. You're going to get me the second best defensive player in football? Yeah, keep your J.J. Watt. I couldn't believe, I was fucking, because again, it's like when they got Cutler, they gave up 2 number 1s, and I was just as excited then. That should probably tell you something. But still, I was really excited. Because when your team is aggressive and your team goes for it, it makes you happy. Because why do you watch sports? You watch them to be happy. You just want to like stuff. You want to be happy and distracted and have a good time. So they get Mac, and I go crazy. They play that weekend. Of course, Mac's not in the lineup. Roquan Smith, by the way, was late reporting to camp, so everybody's ripping him because he wanted to have a different contract where they gave these guarantees where he could get his money in case he was suspended with the new helmet rule. It was a bunch of bullshit, but Bears fans are like, he's letting the team down, man, because here's the thing about football fans. For some reason, they all support the owners. Like a player will hold out. There's a guy named Le'Veon Bell right now at the Steelers. he's had the franchise tag put on him like the last couple years, and he doesn't want to play for it. There's another running back named Todd Gurley in the NFL. He just got $45 million in guarantees. Well, that's what Le'Veon Bell wants. He wants at least $50 million in guarantees, and he deserves it. He's been the number one back in football the last few years. And the Steelers are like, nah, because running back is a fungible fucking position. And they can get rid of him after the year. They can franchise tag him. They can run him in the fucking ground and then cut him loose. Because that's how the NFL works. It's a goddamn sausage factory. So he's holding out, and the fans are letting him have it. Oh, man, look at you. You don't care about winning. You don't care about the team. No, dude. These motherfuckers have a shelf life of 4 years maybe. Running backs less. They're getting hit on every goddamn play. These dudes are banging into one another like goddamn mountain goats, turning their brains into applesauce on a hillside somewhere for your amusement. So if a guy's a little forward thinking and he wants to think to himself, hey, I'd like to have some money for my kids put away before I start drooling on myself, then get off the guy's fucking back. But that's the fan with his tiny megaphone. Le'Veon Bell's not a winner. If he was, he'd be in Steeler camp. Oh, the Bears are fucking stupid. They're not one player away. Why are they trading 2 number ones and giving back all this money? And they did give him all the money because they signed him, and then they signed him to they traded for him and signed him to a 6-year deal for like $140 million, $90 million of which was guaranteed. He's the number one paid defensive player in football. And you know what? Good for him. Get every fucking dime. I'm a Bears fan, but at the same time, you know what? If you're really good at what you do, get paid for it and get paid more than fucking anybody. And come here and save this franchise. Because that's another thing. Khalil Mack, if you read anything about the guy, you know, he was raised by a good family. He loves his parents. He dedicates himself to work ethic. He wants to be a leader in every sense of the word in the locker room. So you're not just paying for a guy to come in and fucking rush. It's not like some wide receiver who's talking a bunch of shit and saying, hey, man, throw me the ball. Khalil Mack wants to go out and kill guys and then point at his friends and go, yeah, you see what we did there? Instead of just him. He's not taking the glory. So you're getting a good player. You're getting a good guy. You're getting a clubhouse presence. And when I say good player, I underestimate. I mean, you're getting at least the second best defensive player in football. Don't at me, J.J. Watt fans. Sure enough, they sign him and I go crazy. So that was it. I told you I should not at all. I should not care this much about sports. I've decided before I'm not going to care that much about sports. But when you sign Khalil Mack, when you make all these other moves, when you bring in this new regime, I became fully invested. I was tumescent. I was hard for the Bears. That was it. This was the year. I thought they were going to be maybe 7-9, 8-8. They get Khalil Mack in my brain. I'm like, they can go 10-6 and make the playoffs. When you're in the playoffs, if you've got wrecking machines like fucking Khalil Mack, good things can happen. And even if it's just the first year, making the playoffs would be ridiculous. And then setting the stage because everybody's under contract. This is the thing. There's no upcoming free agents. They have cap space. Then they wind up giving fucking Eddie Goldman a huge deal. He's a fucking linchpin defensive lineman. I mean, they've paid all the people they're supposed to pay. And I'm ready. And I'm here for it. So last week, all week long, I couldn't wait. Because they had their coming out party on Sunday. The new Chicago Bears, led by Matt Nagy, Mark Helfrich, holdover Vic, fucking Fangio, dude, Trubisky, new offense, weapons, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, dude. I was excited. And I spent the week looking forward to Sunday. I couldn't wait. I like football anyway. I know a lot of other people are like, boo, football now, whatever. Yeah, it's a dangerous sport, and I hope all of the players playing it are safe and make as much money as they possibly can. But it doesn't mean I'm not gonna watch every fucking second of it. I love it. I love football. I do. I've gotten away from it the last few years, but when your team is good, when you're expecting good things, it's easier to be invested. And I became invested in the Bears. And as I mentioned, I've been invested before. 2006, they win the fucking NFC title. They go to the Super Bowl. 2013, it comes down to the final game. I actually go to it when they're trying to win a division title. And you're invested, but it's fun. You try to remember that it's fun. So I was invested last week. I couldn't wait. And so, like I said, I was kind of frozen all week. I did some things. I went out and ran some errands. I cleaned the fucking apartment. I drove on Friday. I drove on Saturday. But I knew Sunday night the game was going to be an event. My brother Lenny was coming back to town. He was going to be off a ship. He asked me to pick him up Saturday night at the airport and then go and watch the game with him on Sunday. You might remember it was last year, I believe, that I described going to a game in what was essentially an opium den. It was just a bunch of dudes getting fucking high, and I went out on the patio because I had a fucking low-level headache from just walking in and having the whole place smell like fucking Brando's Cave and Apocalypse Now. But I was on board. I'm like, fuck it. And I wanted to see it in a place with a bunch of Bear fans. And Bear fans I knew. I didn't want to go to a bar. I wanted to see it with Lenny. I wanted to see it with, I just wanted to have fun and yell and watch the new Bears arrive. Now, I will tell you, I was a little worried. I can't lie about that because their first game was on Sunday Night Football. So they're in front of the national audience and they're playing the Packers. Would I have preferred the new offense and the new defense to gel a little bit before seeing Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely. I would have liked to see them in week 3 or week 4 when we got a couple of games under our belt. Do I want to be exposed to the net? Because I'll tell you what, the Bears sucked so bad last year. They're only on national TV twice this year. Once the opening week and now once next week. They're on Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. After that, the only way they'll make it is if they're a good team and they get flexed into different spots. But as far as scheduled, they were only scheduled to be on one Sunday night and one Monday night game. And they were in consecutive weeks to open the season. So daunting to open in front of a national audience with a whole new offense, a whole new defense, a whole new attitude. Patty LaBelle is there. But I didn't, then, I fucking talked myself into it. I'm like, fuck it. I'm in. I'm on board. Because you know what? If you're going to do it, this is the time. Let them get used to the goddamn spotlights. Let them get used to the fucking accolades. Let them get used to the whole nation staring at them. Because if they're going to be as good as I think they are, this is not going to be a 1 or 2 week occurrence. They're going to get flexed. They're going to be on TV plenty this year. So I get to this guy's house. I don't think I can say his name. And I show up. And it was funny. I said to Lenny, I go, hey man, cause I'm gun shy about going to this dude's house. Cause I don't know him very well. But he was very, very nice to me and he invited me to come. And he's like, anytime you want to come, you can. And that's very cool, but I haven't abused the privilege. So this was only my second game there. It's my first time back since, I had to get blood poisoning from fucking Sansamia. So I asked Lenny, I'm like, dude, what can I bring to the house? Like, what can I bring? And he's like, dude, you don't have to bring anything. He's got a chef who makes breakfast. He's usually got a woman who makes dinner. There's food there for everybody. Oh, yeah, but I can't show up empty. He goes, well, Lenny's like, I usually bring a bottle of scotch. He goes, because I know I'll drink it and Steve will drink it and another guy will drink it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't, dude. I'm not a booze dude. I go, I'll bring beers. You want me to bring like a couple of 6-packs of IPAs or something? He goes, nah, man, that's not a beer house. And I thank God because it's fucking, weed central. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, do I have to stop and get weed? Am I that guy now? Like everybody else goes to fucking Costco and gets a pile of brownie bites. I'm going to show up with fucking weed. And it couldn't possibly be as good as the weed that they have. So what's the point? So Lenny goes, you can bring fruit. I said, what? He goes, bring fruit, man. Like bring a fruit plate. That's always good in the middle of the day. He goes, guys have been there all day. They're eating fucking like heavy food. Bring some fruit, man. I said, you serious? He goes, yeah, bring fruit. So Sunday comes along and I start to get ready to go. And Lenny was going early in the morning. He's like, what time are you going? I go, dude, I'm not going till game time. I got to drive during the day. He goes, okay. He goes, well, I'm going to go over probably halftime of the first games. He goes, because it's the only time this year I can go. So I want to be there early to check it out. I said, fantastic. I'll meet you over there. So I leave my house. The game's at 5:30. But I want to get there by 5:15, get a decent seat, whatever the fuck, acclimate myself, say hi. So I leave the house at, I think it was like 4:40. I stop at a grocery store called Ralph's next to my house, and I'm like, all right, what am I going to bring? I go, fuck it, you know what? I'm going to bring fruit. The dude said bring fruit. I'm bringing fruit. So then I thought about being a smartass and just bringing a bunch of apples, and I'm like, that's fucking dumb. Don't do that. Bring something nice. So I asked this guy, I'm like, hey, and by the way, this dude, fucking white dude with ear gauges, is a produce guy at my grocery store, and he was wearing a Kaepernick Niners jersey. I was like, good for you, man. Good for you, just fucking letting it fly. I asked him, hey, man, are any fruit plates around? He's like, in the back corner over there. So I went and I grabbed one, and look, I will tell you this. I like fruit, but fruit plate's always bad because it's always 4 pounds of cantaloupe, 4 pounds of honeydew, the top of a pineapple, and 1 strawberry. I mean, nobody wants to fucking eat that garbage. So I look, and sure enough, they've got a couple of fruit plates that are, the majority are cantaloupe and honeydew, but it's also got some pineapples and strawberries and some grapes inside it. So I'm like, all right, I can grab one of those. Just grab 2 of those and you'll be fine. So I did. I grabbed 2 and I took like 10 steps and I go, fuck this, man. I don't like melon. And Lenny's like, don't bring something you're not going to eat yourself. And I'm not going to eat melon. I would have eaten all the strawberries and fucking pineapples. But I turned around, I went back, I put one of them back and I kept the other just in case some fucking stoner likes melon. And I went ahead and I grabbed a container of pineapple and a container of strawberries, like a 2-pound container of strawberries and like 1.5 pounds of pineapple. Because look, they're all hungry. They got the munchies. Everybody wants to go ahead and they don't want these guys to get scurvy. That's important. When you're in your house in the dark all day smoking weed, there's a possibility you could get scurvy unless one of your guests brings a pile of strawberries. So I get the fruit. I get in the car and I get a phone call from Lenny. And he's like, where are you? I said, I'm on my way to the game. I go, what about you? He goes, yeah, me too. I go, you're supposed to be there earlier. He goes, no. And I go, well, I'm in the car, man. I'm just getting on the freeway now, which means I'd already passed his house, which is good because I don't want to fucking go pick him up. He's like, all right, dude. He goes, I'll see you over there. I go, are you going to make it by kickoff? And he goes, yeah, definitely. So I said, all right. And if he would have asked me to pick him up, of course, I would have picked him up, but he didn't. So I get on the freeway and I'm driving up the 101. And sure enough, all of a sudden I get at the 101 405 interchange and everybody starts to slow down, brake lights. The fucking map says everything's fine. There's no red fucking streets, but everybody slows down. I look up and there's a cop and he's doing that bullshit maneuver where he's just swerving across every goddamn lane. This is a 5-lane highway and he's swerving across all of it to make sure none of us pass him. What the fuck, man? So now it's like 5 after 5. And in my head, I'm like, Jesus Christ, because I still got like 10 minutes to get there. He's swerving. And we're all just dead stop. Finally, he just stops the car in the middle of the freeway on an angle. And he gets out. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Are there torches? Is there a fucking accident? Is there a dog on the freeway? Like, what the fuck is happening? If I miss this fucking kickoff, dude, does he not know that Matt Nagy is a fucking Bears coach now? Doesn't he know that Trubisky has an array of weapons? Doesn't he know that fucking Mark Helfrich is in there fucking calling the offense? Khalil Mack is making his debut. Get the fuck out of my way, cop. And I text Lenny and I go, dude, a fucking cop has just stopped traffic on the 101. I don't even know what to fucking do here. Like, I want to go around, but I'm in the farthest left lane. And I'm losing my mind. I'm talking to texting. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense. Why the fuck is he stopping traffic? I mean, I can't imagine he got out of the car and he's just walking around. Like, what is he doing? I know the president isn't in town. And as I'm saying this, he walks over, he gets back into his cruiser, and then he just drives off. So I may have been worked up for nothing, but certainly there was a delay due to his actions. But now fucking traffic dissipates and I just floor it. I pull up, I get off at my exit. I make a couple of twisty turns, cross over a major street. I got to go up into the hills because this guy's rich. Zoom. Let's go back to my fucking room. I get in there, I park in the fucking, and I got an address. I got an address to go to. I park where he lives. I go walking up and I go to the address and it looks deserted. Not only does it look deserted, but the fucking yard is overrun with weeds. And I go to the front door and there's a gate that's locked with a padlock. Like, what the fuck is happening? So I text Lenny. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is his address? And he's like, what do you mean? I go, I'm here. He goes, okay, well, go in. You got to go into the driveway past the dinosaur. I think I may have told you that last year. This guy has a giant dinosaur in his yard. And when you walk past it, you're immediately in the wiffle ball stadium in the backyard. It's fucking crazy. But in the front, in the driveway, he's got a dinosaur. So I'll go, dude, there's no driveway. There's no dinosaur. There's a padlock on the fucking gate. And he goes, what address are you at? And I send it to him and he goes, well, I know it's that road. So, and the thing is, I should tell you this. I'm holding my cooler, a bottle of water, and I've got 4 fucking fruit things I'm holding. I got a fucking fruit plate. I got fucking 2 pounds of strawberries. I got fucking pineapples. So I'm just trying not to drop shit, man. So I fucking walk down to the center of the street and I look around and I'm at the address, but then I turn my head and I'm looking, I'm scanning, and all of a sudden, boom, dinosaur. I see him in the driveway. I walk past him, head into the house. I open the side door and I'm immediately hit into the face with some fucking tie stick nonsense. And I get wheezy. And everybody's like, hey! And I go, hey, I brought fruit. And they're like, what? I go, yeah, I brought fruit. Lenny said to bring fruit. They're like, all right, put it on the counter. Awesome. I put it in. I go outside, and that's where all the Bear fans that are outside on the patio. I see some guys. I see some comedians that I know. I see some fellas I don't know. I see some familiar faces. But I get out there, and I get ready for the kickoff. And then Lenny shows up just in time for the kickoff. And the Bears line up. They must have deferred because they're kicking off to the Packers. So we're going to get to see Khalil Mack. And look, I'm not going to do a play-by-play. I've already done more than enough by telling you how many driveways I walked into. But I'm going to tell you this. The first half of Sunday's game, if you came to me, and this is a cliche, but it's a true one, folks. If you came to me and said, Mike, can you do me a favor? Can you write me a script of exactly how you want the first half of the Bears game against the Packers to go and turn it in? I would have written exactly what happened. I can't stress enough how perfect the first half was. The Bears terrorized Aaron Rodgers. They actually knocked him out with an injury to his knee. He fell down and he got up and he had to limp off. Roquan Smith, who had not played the entire preseason, comes in for his first play in the National Football League, and he blitzes and gets a sack on the backup quarterback for the Packers. The place goes crazy. By the place, I mean some Bear fans and the sideline. Khalil Mack is a fucking... the first drive, the Bears, they stop him on a 3-and-out. They get the ball. On the first drive, Trubisky goes 7 for 7, and they score a touchdown to go up 7-0. No bogging down in the red zone. No kicking a fucking field goal. They march right down the fucking field and score. They're up 7-0. They stop the Packers again. They kick a field goal to make it 10-0. Then they knock Rodgers out of the game. Then they're fucking blitzing. They're coming at it. Khalil Mack, the Packers, all of a sudden, they rally behind their backup quarterback. They get down to the Bears' 10-yard line. Khalil Mack comes in on a blitz, smashes the fucking quarterback, steals the ball out of his hands and lands with the ball in his hands. Sack, strip, fumble recovery. Holy fuck, all in one play. Then the Bears offense doesn't get much done, but they punt. And the Packers get the ball back, and they're down inside their 20. My apologies, they're probably inside their 40. And the Bears send a blitz on the backup. He starts to get hit and fall backwards by Roy Robertson-Harris. Khalil Mack intercepts the pass and runs it in for a fucking touchdown. Bears up 17-0 in Lambeau. Silence. Rodgers on a cart to the locker room, tears in his eyes, and I'm not exaggerating, literally wet eyes. You could see it. He's just frustrated. Now, I'm not saying he's a pussy or a baby or he's hurt, but I mean, the pain must have been really great for him to get watery eyes. In the middle of it, I get a text from Jamie, a listener to the show, and she's just like, holy fuck, Khalil fucking Mack. And I'm like, yeah. And I even said that thing. I was like, look, if you wanted me to write a script, this is exactly what I would have done. This is ridiculous. On Twitter, people are writing me. They're like, bear down, fucking Bears. This is amazing. And I'm going crazy. I'm cheering with my friends. I'm jumping up. I kept doing this thing where I kept taking my glasses off to prove how serious I was. Standing under the screen, doing the Stu look. I mean, we were just wild. Halftime comes. And we're all mad because they start talking about Aaron Rodgers and the loss of Aaron Rodgers and how big the loss of Aaron Rodgers is. We're like, dude, how about the addition of Khalil Mack? Can we talk about how big the addition of Khalil Mack is? Fuck the loss of Rodgers, the addition of Mack. And I'm not a guy who gets mad at announcers. I hate that. When people are like, my team doesn't get any respect. How come my guy didn't win the Cy Young Award? Nobody gives a fuck. Why should you even care if a guy on your team wins Rookie of the Year? It's stupid. Just root for your team to win, and if they don't win, have fun. But again, I was invested. And then they fucking blitzkrieg them in the first half. They're up 17-0 at the half. They get the opening kickoff of the second half. They march down. They kick another field goal. They're up 20-0 with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. 9 minutes left. And then the Bears kick off. And Aaron Rodgers limps back into the game. And look, I know Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. But he starts taking snaps, and he can't even put weight on his left leg. You can see the outline of a brace. I mean, this guy is hurt, but even hurt, he's dangerous. So they stuff him on the first two plays, and then it gets to be 3rd and 15 because of a penalty. And on 3rd and 15, Rodgers hits a fucking crossing receiver for 20. And I even said out loud, I go, that's a bad sign. And guys are like, what's up? And I go, dude, you can't let them convert 3rd and long because then they get confidence. The whole point was to keep stepping on this team's neck. They start converting, especially with him, because with Rodgers in the game, they weren't throwing deep. They were just throwing these quick timing patterns, and there's nobody better. There's nobody better than Rodgers and Brady at that. But Rodgers, I would say, is even better. He knows where his receivers are going to be. He's in full command of the offense. He's a fucking genius. And he just starts carving the Bears up, going down the field, and the Bears are missing tackles. I mean, it's just bad. And then he hits a touchdown pass, and it's 17-7. Or 20-7. It's 20-7 because we hit the field goal in the top of the third. To start the third. Top of the third. And I'm like, all right. I go, well, that's bad. You'd like to hold them to a fucking field goal. But 20-7, that's fine. And then over the next half hour, 45 minutes, the Bears offense can't do anything. They're going 3 and out. And here's the thing. Rodgers is not stupid. He's the best quarterback in the league for a reason. So he comes back out after the 3 and out, and they start running the no huddle. Well, the no huddle is incredibly effective because the Bears defense never played in the preseason. This is Khalil Mack's first game. This is Roquan Smith's first game. And the other guys have only played like 1 quarter of preseason football. So they're in game shape, but they're not in fucking mid-season condition. So he starts running the hurry-up offense, and they're hitting these little quick hitters, so the guys have to chase the receivers, and the Bears are playing this they have a slow white linebacker who can't cover anybody, and he's getting burned over the middle consistently, and I'm just going, oh, this is bad. This is bad because they're gassed. Rodgers hits a touchdown pass that I don't think 5 quarterbacks in the last 30 years could throw. It just skims Kyle Fuller's fingers and is caught by the receiver in the end zone. It's a touchdown, and the place is going nuts. You give them life. You can't give them life. Bears are missing tackles. The Bears just aren't getting it done. It's a shame to watch. And the Bears go 3 and out, and then the Packers start just running again, and dude, it was just, you're watching a collapse. And then you get to the fourth quarter, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And Rodgers is just schooling them. Now the Bears do clamp down eventually. Okay. Green Bay has to kick a field goal, and it's 20-17. And I'm like, dude, a fucking touchdown's going to beat us, but that's okay. So then the Bears, after going 3 and out, like 6 possessions in a row, they get the ball and they march. And they convert a couple of third downs. And I'm like, all right, you know what? The best thing is you're getting the defense some rest. And then we're all grasping at that straw, by the way. Because before we were killing them, we're high-fiving. We're like, fuck the Packers. Fuck these guys. And now we're like, you know what? Let's get the defense some rest. Now they can go ahead and relax. They can rest, maybe get massages. Maybe we get them some strawberries. Are any of those strawberries left? Let's do something. Because right now our defense can barely stand up. And Trubisky's got to get it done. And that's the guy that our eggs are in the Trubisky basket. Mac is Mac. He's proven to be Mac. But Trubisky isn't anything yet. Just hope. So on this drive in the fourth quarter, he leads the Bears down, and he converts a couple of third downs, and we're all excited. But I should tell you this, like in the middle of the quarter, on a 3rd and 1, the Bears stop running the ball. They start running these gadget tosses to the tight end. It's like, dude, you're 3rd and 1. You got a back who can gain over 1,000 yards a season. Just fucking run forward, plunge into the goddamn line. And I understood it. Like I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, Nagy, I get it. You're crafty. I was excited for your craftiness. And here's the thing. This is so stupid. When the Bears hired Mark Trestman, when they started to lose, you're like, holy fuck, dude, will you stop throwing those bubble screens? Will you just run the fucking ball? So then they fire him and they hire John Fox. And you're watching John Fox in your head. You're like, dude, could you just stop running the ball directly into the line? Try, mix in a fucking bubble screen. Could you do that possibly? There's the Bears bring in Nagy, and in it, you're just like going, run the ball. Dude, could you just stop throwing that tight end hitch pass and run the goddamn ball? And again, like I said, I shouldn't be this invested. But I'm watching the game unfold, and the Bears get down, and they're on like the 15-yard line. And on 3rd and 1, there's 2 minutes and 32 seconds left in the game. All you got to do on 3rd and 1 is if you run it into the line, they're dead. They have 2 timeouts left. The Packers have 2 timeouts left and the 2-minute warning. All you got to do is run into the line. If you convert the 3rd and 1, they've got it. It's going to go down to the 2-minute warning, or they're going to burn a timeout, which is more likely. But then you just run the ball. And if you get into the end zone, great. But otherwise, you kick a fucking field goal. On 3rd and 1, Trubisky goes back to pass. They thought they had a gadget play that would work. They ran Tariq Cohen on a wheel route into the end zone, but a fucking lineman decided to stay with him out of nowhere. He made a brilliant play and stayed with fucking the Swiss Army knife. And he just folded it and put it away. And Trubisky had to fucking eat it. There was nothing he could do. He forces a pass, and then it's dropped. Incomplete pass, stops the clock. Motherfucker. So now there's like 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. The Packers have 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. And also, by the way, they have fucking Aaron Rodgers. Even if you kick a field goal here, you're only up 6. And in my brain, I was like, I can see this coming a mile away. Everyone can see it coming. Bears kick the field goal. They're up 6. And my buddy Steve can't even watch. He walks into the yard. And I'm like, this is bad. And everybody's like, man, don't worry about it. I go, no, this is rough, dude. You can't give Rodgers a chance to beat you because you know what? It's magic. You can't give the other team opportunity for fucking magic. Hester's return, you don't waste magic. Khalil Mack strip sack, you don't waste magic. Khalil Mack interception return for a touchdown. Up 17-0 on the road, 20-0 with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. You can't waste magic. But the problem is the other team has the fucking best magician in the world under center. So we kick off. They get the ball at the 25. Rodgers' first play, they run a fucking rub route. which means there's basically they're setting up a hitch pass with blocking so the receiver can create in space. So I don't know what happens, but there's miscommunication between the best magician in the world and his receiver. The guy stops running. Rodgers throws the ball to a spot. And who's in the spot? Number 23 of your Chicago Bears. Now, I know what you're thinking. When you think of 23 in the Chicago Bears, you think of Devin Hester. Well, unfortunately, this time it's not the magician Devin Hester. However, it is the aforementioned Kyle Fuller. All-pro cornerback Kyle Fuller. Restricted free agent signed to an offer sheet sought by the Packers in the offseason, Kyle Fuller. Offer sheet matched by Ryan Pace because he didn't want to lose all-pro cornerback Kyle Fuller. Standing in the spot Rodgers throws the ball. I mean, it's going to hit him in the chest. He's going to catch the ball and fall down, and the Bears are going to win. Rodgers zips it out. Fuller's right there. The ball, I mean, it hits him in the midsection. There's nothing he can do. You can't miss this ball. If somehow this ball is a pointed end, it sticks in his chest and kills him. It's that dead on. Fuller looks up, ball's on the way, hits him in the chest and the crook of the elbow, and he drops it. And you hear a noise from Studio City that sounds like 5 coyotes just got caught in a fucking wood chipper. Oh! All of us in the backyard fucking yell. We just scream, no! Fuller just claps his hands. He shakes his head, and his teammates pick him up, and I just go, that's terrible, guys. That's bad. And they're like, well, yeah, but it doesn't matter, Rodgers. And I'm like, dudes. And Lenny's mad at me because he's like, dude, don't be that guy. And I get it. I understand that. But the thing is, here's where I am. I've allowed myself to care. I've allowed myself to care. So what I'm doing now is I'm laying the groundwork for it not to hurt so bad. If you recognize inevitable defeat, you can blunt its effects. Fuller drops the pass. Next play, Rodgers goes back to throw. And the Bears put the rush on him. He steps to his left. Now, I got to tell you, on December 29th of 2013, 4th and fucking 8, Rodgers, the Bears put the pressure on him with a blitz, and he stepped to his left. And he looked deep, and Chris Conte was not there. Randall Cobb was. To the point where I can still hear Joe Buck yell, Cobb, once I got home and I watched the video of it. Because I watched it live, and I heard you know what? I heard all the air go out of the arena. I may have heard fucking Joe Buck yell Cobb at Soldier Field. 2nd and 15 or 2nd and 10, the Bears come after Fuller drops the pass. Rodgers moves to his left. And as he's moving, the Bears are moving with him. And then Randall Cobb goes on a crossing pattern across the middle, and fucking Rodgers hits him in stride. And there's not a Bear within 3 yards of him. And he catches the pass. Cobb catches the pass and turns upfield. And I literally just hear one, oh no, from somebody on the patio. And Cobb just keeps running. Quite frankly, he might still be running. Khalil Mack, this is his first game on a football field all year, he pursues the entire way, but he can't catch Randall Cobb. He gets close at the 5, and Cobb gets into the end zone. Touchdown Packers. They show Rodgers. He's not even like really celebrating. He's acting like he fucking knew. And I don't blame him. The best magician in the fucking world knows his tricks. He knows they're always going to work. So Cobb scores. And now the Bears have just under 2 minutes to get something done. They've got time. We're like, all right, you got 2 timeouts, you got 2 minutes. All you need is a field goal. The problem is we don't have the best magician in the world. We have his apprentice who's learning. And he doesn't have the best tricks. So he's not sure that they're going to work. And Trubisky, who the Bears traded up with the Niners to get, and they were ridiculed by some people, and not by me because I was excited. Trubisky gets on the field and he plays like a second-year quarterback. He has happy feet. He's overshooting receivers. He's undershooting receivers. It gets to be 4th and 9. And then he forces a pass that goes nowhere. However, one of the Packers veterans, a guy named Clay Matthews Jr., who's probably their best pass rusher, makes probably the stupidest roughing the passer penalty I've ever seen. He commits the stupidest penalty I've ever seen in my years of watching football. 4th and 9, you know this is the game. Trubisky lets the ball go. Matthews still takes 2.5 steps and jacks Trubisky in the helmet with his helmet. I mean, it's wrong on like 15 different fucking levels. So it's an incomplete pass, but the Bears get the ball and they get 15 yards. So now you're up around like the 35. And you're like, all right, well, all you need now is 30 yards for a field goal. And then Trubisky, to put it kindly, doesn't get it done. He's missing guys. He's scrambling. He's falling. He looks completely out of his element. He looked like a kid who was nervous to be playing his first game in Lambeau Field, and rightfully so. He looked like a kid who was swallowed up by the enormity of the moment. And that was not promising to see your future franchise quarterback, the guy they've invested so much in, to see him look lost. And it's funny because afterwards everybody's like, well, it's Trubisky. Well, he's young. Well, he'll come around. I'm like, yeah, he's not that young anymore, man. He played all last year. Yeah, but it was a different team and a different offense. Yeah, but it wasn't about the offense. It was about the poise. It was about him putting throws too high or behind guys and missing guys. And yes, it's week 1. Yes, I get that it's week 1. And I'm not going to grab my tiny megaphone and shout into the heavens about how fucking bad it is and the Bears suck and the Trubisky trade sucked. I'm not going to do that because I don't believe that. But I will tell you, Jesus Christ, that it hurt. It's not supposed to anymore. Sports aren't supposed to hurt like that anymore. I thought I'd passed it. There was no point. Sports shouldn't mean that much. I'm 51 years old. But I sat there. And I literally got up once it ended, right when it was over. I go, all right, I looked at Lenny. I go, let's get out of here. Because I was taking him to the airport. He goes, well, hold on. I got to talk to the guys. I'm like, all right. I walked away from the TV. And I will tell you this. I was sick to my stomach. And I know that shouldn't be. I know that doesn't make sense. But I allowed myself to care. And I allowed myself to care. And also, they were doing it. They were up 20-0 with 9 minutes left in the third. If they got thrashed from the jump, you could kind of do that thing where you're like, first game jitters and who knows. No, they were dominating that team. And then Rodgers comes in and they completely fall apart. It looked like they took it for granted. It was weird. Like, dudes, you guys haven't earned anything yet. You got to fucking still punch them in the mouth. They stopped punching the Packers in the mouth. Or at least maybe they tried and Rodgers he just had too much of a dodge game for him. And then he landed every punch the rest of the fucking night. And it fucking hurt. It hurt. I can't lie. And it hurt for another reason too, because not only did they lose, especially after leading by as much as they did. And my brother, other people are like, well, you know what, man, they dominated early. It's a young team. They got to get it together. I'm like, yeah, but this was the moment. And everybody's like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like, think about that first half. It was fucking amazing. And then this was an absolute choke job. They're like, Mike, you got to let it go. And I'm like, dude, this was a choke. You can't look at this and go, well, we'll take a positive from this. Dude, we were up 20-0 on the road against our hated rival. And we lost. In the worst, most backbreaking fashion. And our quarterback did not look like the quarterback we want him to be. And everybody's like, man, we can't talk to you, dude. You're a fucking bummer. And I'm like, yeah. I go, that's the reason. I can't. It shouldn't matter to me. This should not fucking matter to me. Now, I'm not saying they suck. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm not saying this sucks. I'm not saying the season's over. But in that moment, man, it hurt. And it hurt not only because they lost. It hurt because of the fashion in which they lost. And it hurt because I will tell you this. I genuinely enjoy sports talk radio. And I genuinely enjoy social media regarding sports. There's publications I read, The Athletic, I go to ESPN, I listen to Sports Talk Radio, I go on social media. There's some bloggers, Bear bloggers and stuff. I like to follow them. I read all their stuff every day. It's interesting and fun to me. And that's what I did all off season. And that's one of the reasons I got so pumped, because these guys were excited too. And then when they got Mac, forget it. Everything exploded off the goddamn charts. And I was pumped. I was thrilled. I was excited. I was ready. I invested. It mattered to me again. It shouldn't, but it did. And for them to get fucking kneecapped like that, Jesus Christ. So not only did I know they lost, but now it stole the game from me, but also Aaron Rodgers, they stole joy from me. The joy of certainly a victory, but also the joy of hearing people talk about the victory. You know, that's half the battle is hearing. Like I said, I'm not that sports media guy who's like, oh my God, why didn't my guy win MVP? But when your team is good, you like to hear them say it. So all this past week, it could have been me listening to the NFL radio and other sports and people talking about the coming out party of Khalil Mack. And hey, maybe the Bears are the monsters of the Midway, and maybe they asserted themselves by beating a hated rival. And I would get to listen on sports talk and social media and hear all those things. But instead, I can't read anything. It took that away from me, something that I love to do. I went, I'm not going to do it. Because I knew that Packers fans and Raiders fans, Packers fans because they hate the Bears anyway, and they got every right in the world to crow. They should. They've got the fucking best magician in the world, the quarterback, and they won. They took it and won. But Packers fans and Raiders fans on social media, because like I said, when the Bears got Khalil Mack, the Raiders are like, well, you still suck. It doesn't matter. Your quarterback's terrible. And you're just like, fuck that. Our quarterback's a badass. It's going to be amazing. This team doesn't have a hole now. We just went and got our pass rusher. But now Raiders fans, they had a bulldozer. Ha ha. Told you one man doesn't make a team. And I know it shouldn't matter, but it does. It does, just because I'd see it, just because I'd read it, just because I knew it existed. I knew it would be there, and I couldn't. So I was going to have to walk away. I couldn't put on sports radio. Literally, that night I got in the car. I dropped Lenny at the airport. I put on the NFL radio. They're like, Aaron Rodgers, unbelievable. The Bears, what a choke. And I just went, that's it. That's all I'm going to listen to. I couldn't listen to the rest. Because and this will sound ridiculous. I don't mean this to the level it sounds, but I was going to be inconsolable. Because they lost. There was no getting around it. There was no good to take from that. Everybody's like, oh no, dude, the fucking defense looked great. It's just, it was like, Rodgers beats you. I'm like, yeah, but they lost. And they lost in the most crushing fashion. Jamie texted me. She's like, I spoke too soon. People on Twitter are like, dude, I spoke too soon. And I'm just like, I wrote Jamie back and I said, this is an absolute choke job. I go, they were up 20-0. I go, this is, I can't even explain. I don't think I'd even text her. I just trailed off. Because I let sports matter. I let it back in. And I will tell you this. I mentioned those other losses. I mentioned the Super Bowl loss. In February of 2007. Well, when they lost the Super Bowl, I had a writing job. I was doing Never Not Funny, and I was feeling really good about it. I had a wife and a decent home life. And I went home that night and I had crazy sex. It was awesome. I was like, well, they lost the game, but that's fine. It was fun. I had a good time with my friends. I brought all the Chicago beef. We had fun. And that was great. I was able to find another thing to dive into. Literally. I talk about that other loss in December of 2013. The Bears lost the division title at home to the Packers. And all this, the air went out of the stadium, and I sat there just stunned. And then I turned to my right, and I was just starting a relationship, and there was Jill in her little Packer suit with her fucking huge smile. And I took a picture and I posted it at the time, and I was just like, well, motherfuckers. So even though I was fucking bummed, we still had that weird friendly rivalry thing between she and I, and I could feel happy for her. I could feel good for her. And even though I was disappointed and upset, but it didn't matter because sports doesn't really matter. What mattered was I had somebody who loved me, and we left that night. And I can still tell you every moment we spent leaving Soldier Field and walking in the cold. Couldn't feel our feet. The snow started to fall. We went to a tapas restaurant. We took pictures of her hand on top of my hand. And we went back to the hotel and almost broke a headboard. I mean, we had just had fucking crazy sex that night. So I was able to find a way to escape it because it didn't matter. It was just fun. It was silly. But this game, I invested. And I invested in a way I haven't invested since those games. And also Cobb did it again. Dude, are you kidding me? Seriously? And this time when the game ended, I had no never not funny or writing job. I had no Jill perfect smile and a headboard to break. I had none of those things. I had me. And I had Lenny going to the airport. And then I had the radio telling me about the Bears choke job, and I turned it off. And I felt a way I haven't felt probably since I was a kid. And, it's funny, I do this podcast, it's Tuesday, so it's 9/11. And 9/11 certainly, I thought to myself I should do a 9/11 show. But in reality, I guess I sort of have, because Aaron Rodgers flew 2 planes directly into the Bears and my hopes on Sunday fucking night. And I've done this whole show filled with dates, 2/4/07, 12/29/13, and now 9/9/18. And I can tell you this, as an orange and blue Bear fan who was invested now, who was invested in the past, who thought sports didn't matter that much, 9/9/18 is now my new never forget. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friends at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. How about trivializing 3,000 deaths for the football game? Should I retake that ending? I don't know. That was kind of in the moment. It seemed good. So have I mentioned my Facebook? Yeah, I'm at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. Follow me at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. I'm also on Instagram and Snapchat. Have I mentioned that? I think I have. I'm on Instagram and Snapchat at Mike40YOB, Mike40YOB. Check me out there. There's people who bring this show to you and help me out. Ryan Dirks is the guy who does our website, and he does all that cool stuff. You can follow him. You can be his friend at Facebook.com/Ryan Dirks. Giovanni Giorgio Peluso is the coolest guy. He handles our YouTube channel and all the uploads and things like that. He's helping me get streaming and Twitch underway. He was the one who convinced me to stream again yesterday. And he's the best. You can go ahead and find him at Facebook.com/Giovanni Giorgio Peluso. And you can find his podcasts. Like I've mentioned, he's refurbishing all the Loveline stuff. That's pretty cool. And he's got the Get It On Geo podcast. Go ahead and find that in your iTunes and love it and think he's great and tell him he's the best and thank him for all the cool work he does for us. And, of course, David Mex Hernandez is the man. He does all of our music. He does all of our artwork. And he also, get this, he cooks omelets. That's right. You didn't think he did, does he? But he shows up here and he cooks me an omelet every Tuesday before I record the show. He's the best. He flies in for that. He's a frequent flyer, that fella. So you can find him at Facebook.com/David Mex Hernandez and tell him he's the greatest. Or, you know what you really want to do? You want to go to artbydmh.com and check out all of his artwork. Have I mentioned he does all the artwork for this show? I can tell you, I don't know what this week's artwork is, but I know it's going to be fantastic. Take a look at your iPod right now. You'll probably see it. It's brilliant. And all of the artwork that this guy does for the show is fucking amazing. All of the music he does is incredible. And if you want him to do some artwork for you, now look, here's the thing. You can purchase existing pieces. I don't know if there's any show art for sale. You can inquire to him about that sort of thing. But I will tell you this. There's Guy Cons and Valscapes. Those are available. If you go ahead and peruse his website, you'll see the pieces that he has for sale, pieces he's already sold. But also, get this. There's a wild card involved, ladies and gentlemen. You can actually ask him to do the artwork that you would want. If you think to yourself, hey, Max, can you paint a painting of yourself painting a Valscape? He'd say, yes, of course, as long as there's enough money involved. Hey, Max, can you paint yourself painting a Gaikon and then taking that Gaikon and mailing it to me? You'd be like, of course he can do that because that's what he wants to do. He wants to earn money by doing his oil paintings, and he works in oil. He works in watercolor. He works in Play-Doh. He works in the clay that made Blob on BJ and the Dirty Dragon show. Whatever you need him to do, he can do it. But the key is to find him first. Now, I mentioned be his friend at Facebook.com/David Mex Hernandez, but if you want his shenanigans in your house, you want paintings, you want artwork, you want amazing existing pieces or custom artwork he can do for you, you got to contact him at artbydmh.com. That's artbydmh.com.
sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps. I look at the floor and I see it needs sweeping. Still my guitar gently weeps. I don't know why nobody told you how to unfold your love. I don't know how someone controlled you. They bought and sold you. I look at the world and I notice it's turning, while my guitar gently weeps. With every mistake we must surely be learning. Still my guitar gently weeps. I don't know how you were diverted, you were perverted too. I don't know how you were inverted, no one alerted you. I look at you all, see the love there that's sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps. Look at you all, still my guitar gently weeps.
You're goddamn right. That was David Hernandez with another Beatles track. That's off of the Beige album, which, guess what, folks? I know what you're thinking to yourself. You know, it was on Patreon, and Patreon people got access to that early, a couple of weeks ago. But the Beige album now is available to you, the pleb, the listener who can't afford Patreon. I apologize. The listener who doesn't do Patreon because they're worried that someone will steal their information. For whatever reason, you don't do Patreon. If you want to get your hands on the Beige album, which has that track and the track I played a couple of weeks ago, and then 12 other tracks, is it 14 or 13? I can't remember. But it's a lot of Beige Beatles type tracks from our great friend David Mex Hernandez. That's available now with a $7 donation to the show. All you got to do is donate $7. And usually there's a button. There used to be a button for this sort of thing. But I'll tell you what. If you want to donate to the show, $7. If it's not through, if it's not, look, if you go through Patreon, I'll know you're getting it because you're getting it. But if you want to donate $7 to the show, then I'll send it out to you, and that'll be perfect. But if you want to send me an email that goes, hey, dude, I totally wanted that album, and that's why I made the $7 donation, that would be helpful. And make sure you include the email address you wish to have it sent to you. Because it is fantastic. It is worth having. It is something you absolutely want to have. I mean, just listen to because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I just played, but it was goddamn brilliant. I know what I almost played the last time. I played Helter Skelter a couple of weeks ago, and this might have been something you're a little even more familiar with. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I can't decide which one to play, but I can tell you now, if you want to own that, if you want to have it in your hot little CD player, that seems weird. If you want to have it instead in a digital fashion and play it in your iPod vagina, what you need to do is donate $7 to the show via the donation button there on MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Send it via PayPal and whatnot. And then I will send you, because again, it's a $7 donation, and I will give you the Beige album, which is from our friend David Hernandez. And then you can have that to listen to on your own. It's funny. I was talking about the Bears earlier. I don't know. I'm gonna say this because why the fuck not? There's another angle too. The Bears. I talked in there and I mentioned Jill and I mentioned the friendly rivalry I'd had with my ex-girlfriend regarding the Bears and the Packers, and that was a big thing for us. We went to the games. We went to 3 of the games. 4 games. We went to 4 games. 2 in Chicago, 2 in Green Bay. No, 3. God, we went to 5 games. Holy macaroni! Did we go to a lot of fucking Bears-Packers games? But that's a thing that meant something to us, and it was something we shared, and it was totally fun. And then to not have that, and then to have to watch the game on Sunday, you have no idea how badly I wanted the Bears to win, just because I could not handle the thought of her with whoever her new boyfriend is enjoying a Packers win. I know that sounds ridiculous and petty, but it's totally true. Because that was our thing. That's our thing, man. And if I won, she would kind of pout and I'd be happy. Or if she won, I'd same thing. I'd pretend I wasn't happy, but we were always happy that we had won. But now I can't even imagine her with some boyfriend who probably looks like me, probably there in Lambeau when she was watching Khalil Mack go to town, and then to see them come back and get that win. I know, petty. I know, terrible, but it hit me right in the fucking heart knowing that she got that win. I was like, dude. And it shouldn't even matter. It shouldn't matter. But again, as I've mentioned, I'm 51 and now things matter to me again because I'm a weirdo. But that played no small part in me also just going, oh, God damn it. This used to mean something. And now, but it was fun. But now just to think that she would be sharing happiness with another dude. Oh, grim. Hey, who wants to be an Uber driver? You? Of course you do. You want to be a Lyft driver too? You? Anybody? Well, if you want to be a Lyft driver, you can use my code. And that code is Mike 720057, MIKE 720057. Please use all caps on the mic. Use that to become a Lyft driver, and then you do a bunch of trips, and then I get a taste of the gig because I'm your Lyft pimp. And you'll be out there making money in no time. And look, I know I've painted Lyft and Uber with a broad brush. You hear some of these things, but 95% of the time, everything's great. It's a side hustle. You get out there, you make some money. Everybody's happy. They're thrilled to see you because you're driving them all over town. So go be a Lyft driver and use my code Mike720057. And I will tell you this, that code also works if you're a passenger. A first-time passenger to Lyft, use that code, and then I get a kickback on that for some weird reason. And for Uber, you want to use the code DJZW1YTTUE, and that's all lowercase letters. DJZW, the number 1, YTTUE. DJZW1YTTUE, all lowercase. That's to become a driver at Uber. That's to become a passenger at Uber. If you're a first-time passenger, use that code. And again, I get a kickback on that, and it's exciting. Let me be your Uber pimp. Let me be your Lyft pimp. Let me make as much money as I can while you're on your back driving people to and fro. While you're being a passenger in the back seat with your earbuds in, ignoring your driver as he tries to give you free water and tell you how much he loves the government or whatever the fuck, because everybody talks. But please go ahead and use my code. Like I said, for Lyft, Mike 720057, for Uber, DJZW1YTTUE, and go ahead and do that all day long. Folks, you know what keeps this show going? Patreon. Did you know that? You should. Patreon is a page where, a lot of people donate and they help this show out and they keep it afloat. And I got to be honest with you, man, last week was a fucking awesome week. A ton of you people stepped up on Patreon and came through in a big way, and I cannot thank you enough, but I will try right now. Did you know that Michelle Woods kicked in some money? He absolutely became a Patreon subscriber this week. Thank you, Michelle. I'm also going to say this. I hope it's not Michael Woods, because I know he's in Canada. I met him when I was in Toronto a couple years ago when I did my show. He came to my show, I believe, and I believe it's Michelle. But I hope I'm not ruining it. Could be Michael Woods, could be Michelle Woods. I believe it's Michelle. So he's the best, and he's a Patreon subscriber now. Also, Alex Reinhardt is now a Patreon subscriber. Thank you, Alex Reinhardt, for stepping up in a big way, keeping the show afloat. Our friend Aaron Ach, I don't know, Ach, could be Aaron Ach. It's ACH. Here's me giving full names again because I'm a genius. But Aaron has become a Patreon subscriber. Thank you, Aaron. You're the coolest. You're the best. And you and Alex Reinhardt and Michelle Woods are perfect. You know who else joins you in the perfect club? Elise Laughlin. Thank you, Elise. You have stepped up. You and I have had conversations. We talked on the phone, I believe, actually, a while ago. And also, we've had conversations on Instagram and stuff. I hope you are well. I hope everything is well with your family and you are good. I hope your husband is happy. Everything is fantastic for you, Elise. And look, I certainly feel those ways for Michelle and Alex and Aaron too, but I talked to Elise, so I know a little bit about her. But Elise Laughlin, Michelle Woods, Alex Reinhardt, Aaron Ach, and get this, folks, friend of the show, Ellen, who I don't think ever wants me to say her last name, so I will not. I contacted Ellen. I hadn't heard from her in a few months, and I actually wrote her a text because I was remiss. She sent me a very nice text in fucking like January. And then I looked at my phone. I was like, God damn, what's wrong with you? So I sent her a nice text, and then she sent me a note through the mail, and then she bumped up her Patreon subscription, and I'm so happy and pleased and thrilled that Ellen is my friend. So I'm glad that she's in my life. I met her at Podfest once, and now there are no more Podfests, so I will never meet her unless I go to Colorado and she bumps down there when I'm there traveling, or who knows. But yeah, because I told you she lives in the mountains, man. But she was very nice. She donated more to Patreon, and I can't thank her enough. So Ellen, Aaron Ach, Alex Reinhardt, Michelle/Michael Woods, and Elise Laughlin, all of you have stepped up on Patreon and kept this show going, and I do appreciate it if you keep as long as you're listening and I'm talking. That's what matters. And giving money matters too. So if you guys want to be Patreon people, go to Patreon and look me up, Mike Schmidt or Mike40YOB, and become a patron of this show. And there's all sorts of levels of things that are cool. Like I said, the Beige album's available over there now if you don't want to give the $7 thing, but maybe you do. Who knows? But because the Patreon thing is a monthly recurring, so I could understand why you want to do the one-time deal instead. And you do that through the donation button that's in Mike Schmidt Comedy on every page. But if you want to be a patron, I would appreciate it very much. Go to Patreon, sign up, and get ready, man, because we got cool things coming up, personal chats. I advertise a t-shirt on there. Mex and I are talking about it, but it costs money to make a t-shirt apparently. So the more Patreon people I get, the more I can get to a t-shirt and get that rolling. It's all happening, folks, as our good friend Penny Lane would tell us. So please become patrons over there at Patreon, and I'll consider you the best. We have sponsors of this show. Our good friend Fearful Jesuit. He does a podcast called The Paranoid Strain. You can go ahead and check out his podcast. It's available in iTunes right now. Now, I have not listened to the most recent one, but apparently it's gone up. I found out about it through via text, through some of the monks at the compound. They texted me, and then I saw a posting on the fan club page, and he's like, well, we'll ramp up promotion next week, but I'll give him a free week. Why not? We'll go ahead and do that. Now, I haven't heard it yet. I'll hear it this week, and I'll be able to tell you more in depth about what it's about. But I can tell you this week it's this. It's about QAnon. And here's what I'm going to tell you, folks. If you don't know what QAnon is, you're a lucky person. But you should want to learn more about QAnon, and certainly the way to do it is to listen to the Paranoid Strain podcast, because he's going to come at it from not even an unbiased way, from a smart way, from an educated way, because QAnon is fucking stupid. That's all I'll tell you. So if you don't know what it is, listen to the Paranoid Strain podcast and get on board, and you'll know all about QAnon and why you need to avoid those motherfuckers at all costs. But that's available now. The Paranoid Strain is available in iTunes right now. And, of course, there's the website, I believe, paranoidstrain.com or theparanoidstrain.com. Do me a favor. Write Fearful Jesuit a note to tell him that you heard about the show through us and that you love the show and you'd love to have your voice on the show or whatever. Ask him a question, whatever you need to do. He's very good about engaging listeners, probably better than I am. And by probably, I mean certainly. Also on the iTunes page, if you leave a review, please make sure you mention that the 40-Year-Old Boy Show sent you and that, because I want Fearful Jesuit to think we're doing the job for him. So please do. So send a thing on iTunes and say, hey man, Mike Schmidt sent me. So he thinks I'm a hitter. They think I'm a hitter. We all know I'm a hitter and everybody gets on board with me. This is all a reverse thing to get you guys back on board with me. I talk about Fearful Jesuit like he's somebody, but in reality, I want you guys to love me. Love me, goddammit. Go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. As I've mentioned many times, you can go there and go to the Joe Business page. We've got stuff on there for sale. We've got all the live stuff for sale, and I don't think we're selling the download sets anymore, but we got live stuff. We got a bunch of neat stuff. Shirts are in the pipeline, but also more importantly, the donate button is there, and you can donate the $7 to get the Beige album, as I've mentioned earlier. But also, folks, that's where you'll find the Amazon link lurking. You'll also find the Amazon lurk linking there. Amazon, click on that. Clicks you through, takes you into the wild world of Amazon. Buy things and we get credit. They get money, we get money, you get stuff. It's a fantastic deal. It's a triangle of love. It's like all of us are holding each other's wrist in an unholy alliance, and that's important. So go ahead and use our Amazon link right there at the Joe Business page. You get in, you see the Amazon thing, click on it. It takes you through to the Amazon portal. While you're in there shopping, we're getting credit. We get money, they get money, you get stuff. And you know you're buying stuff. You know you need stuff. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just one extra step of going to the Joe Business page and clicking on the Amazon link, and boom, now you're in there. You're spending money. You're doing everything you can to buy screws and nuts and bolts and every other thing that'll keep things together. Keep it together, folks. Keep it together. Keep it together forever. So please do that. And also, folks, let me tell you this. Next week, this show comes to you live from Toronto. The podcast won't be live from Toronto. I'll be recording it in Toronto, however. But I will tell you this. I'm doing a live show in Toronto next week. That's the 21st, Friday, September 21st at the Steve's Music Store Lounge upstairs in Toronto. You can find the address online. But we're not doing any ticket sales. It's going to be a pass-the-hat deal where you guys show up, you pay what you want, you pay what you can, you pay what you will. And then I'm going to show up and I'm going to do a show. I'm going to talk, I'm going to tell stories, I'm going to meet everybody, I'm going to hang out. It's going to be fantastic and fun. I will tell you this. I do have plans to try and stream the show. It all depends on the Wi-Fi there at Steve's Music Store Lounge up in the attic. I'm going to get there early in the week and test it out. Maybe I'll do a test stream from there just for a little bite size to see how it works. But please tune in next week. Again, like I said, the podcast is going to be recorded in Toronto somewhere, probably Ken's house. But more importantly, the live show. If you're in Canada, you're in Toronto, you're around there, Buffalo, wherever, come on out to the show, man. It'll be at Steve's Music Store Lounge. And also, if you just want to fucking hang out, I found out we're going to an escape room. I think we're throwing axes again. We're all going to go see Predator, I think, on Monday. So if you guys, anybody who wants to be in for these activities, contact Ken Fairhall, contact Johnny Floor, find them via Facebook. You can probably go through Rick Wellbanks, too, because he's got a pipeline to those guys. Those are my go-to dudes in Toronto. And if you want to be involved, man, like I said, there's a bunch of last year, people just showed up. Tanya and Mike showed up and Robert, everybody, we had a good time, and Steve. So please, if you guys are there in Toronto and you want to come out to the show, you want to come out and eat, you want to fucking hang, it's just going to be a week of goofing off and having fun, man. I'm going to record the podcast. Maybe even a few people want to come and watch me record the podcast on Tuesday. Ken would be able to accommodate that. I don't know. But, or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we're going to plan on doing it, hopefully Tuesday. That's my plan. I don't know. I'm walking into a hornet's nest. I'm walking into a Canadian hornet's nest, so they're very polite. They say they're sorry just before they sting you. But that exists. So please, man, if you want to come out to Toronto to the show, we're going to be at Steve's on Friday. If you want to possibly watch me do the podcast, write Ken and John and see if that's a thing. If Ken will welcome people into his house. I don't want to just invite people into his fucking house. That seems weird and rude. And if you want to be part of the fucking fun, if you just want to be part of the up and down and the ins and outs and whatever we're doing in goddamn Canada, then get on board, man. We're going to be chugging syrup. We're going to be throwing fucking Canadian bacon at people. We're going to get pea meal bacon sandwiches. That's, this is the main reason I go on this trip. I know it's rebirth. I know I'm getting in shape. But dude, pea meal bacon sandwiches are ridiculous. It's just, they're and Johnny Floor was good enough to get me them. When I went my first trip to Toronto, when I did a show, we wound up in this like fucking St. Lawrence Market or whatever the fuck it was, and we waited in line. We had been out all night, me and him and Valkyrie Harper. And hey, Valkyrie, are you out there? You still listening? Contact me, man. I haven't heard from you in forever. And if we can see you when I'm in Toronto, that'd be great. But dudes, we went and waited in line for the sandwiches, and I did that show and I told that story. But man, was it fucking phenomenal. So then this last trip last year, I mentioned it to John. John fucking, because Ken doesn't live in Toronto proper, so John drove like 40 miles to get the sandwiches and then 40 more miles to come to John's house or to Ken's house. And I'm like, dude, you didn't have to do this. He's like, no, man. But I'll tell you what, when I opened it, I was like, nah, you know what? You absolutely had to fucking do this. God damn this sandwich. I mean, it's pea meal bacon on a roll with cheese, and you don't understand the difference between, because Canadian bacon is fucked. American bacon is good, but pea meal bacon, it just punches American bacon in the face and stands over it and points. Fucking, you know what? Goddamn pea meal bacon is Ali. And fucking American bacon is Liston. And fucking pea meal bacon is just standing over fucking American bacon and going, what's my name? What's my name, goddammit? You go to Lewiston, Maine, there's a plaque to pea meal bacon on the goddamn wall. Because it beat fucking Sonny Liston, American bacon, and left it laying there.
Fuck you, Schmitty. You don't come to a throne if you're not gonna suck a dick.